It is a Wednesday, and that means it is time for Blades in the Dark 6 and 20, The Shroud. And we are here for the season finale of Season 2. And with me, as always, is the amazing cast of The Shroud. And we'll start with the... oh, man, who do I go to first? For someone wearing more makeup than me, Greg, who are you? What are you doing here? And who are you playing today?
Oh, I am Greg, Grimjack21502 on Twitch and Twitter, and tonight I will be playing my main man Steam, otherwise known as The Crow. I'm looking forward to tonight with a equal amount of anticipation and excitement and dread. So let's get going. This is my first season finale with The Shroud and with 6 and 20, and I'm hyped, man.
Hell yeah.
Excited.
Hell yeah. And for the shortest intro ever, because she can't breathe, Miss Ginger Ninja, who are you, what are you doing here, and who are you playing today?
I'm X with Ginger Ninja. You guys can check out my channel, playing video games, charity events, things like that. I'm going to be playing OC again, and she's probably going to kill some more people if she doesn't pass out first.
That's fair. And someone who can use makeup tips from any number of us. Slade, who are you, what are you doing here, and who are you playing tonight?
Hey guys, I'm Slade. I'm a game master and streamer over on unMadeGaming, and I'm returning the season finale as Reymond Bowerstone, the hopefully soon-to-be alderman, if we've played our cards right, and I'm looking forward to seeing how it works out tonight.
And Johnny, who is dressed as a nerd. Who are you? What are you doing here? And what are we doing tonight?
I don't know. What are you guys doing tonight? You ask me that every week, and it's like, I don't know. You guys tell me. I can only tell you what's happened in the past. You determine the future.
Speaking of, what has happened in the past?
Well, do you... Let's see. There was some murder. There was some mayhem. There was some...
Murderous mayhem?
How do you want to put that, Greg? What did you do to the crows last week?
I made them mine.
That's
in the biblical sense.
That's 2 weeks in a row he's made people his. That's a little uncomfortable for me, honestly. So previous to that, though,
it's more of the norm.
Pretty much. Previous to that, there was a little bit of an exchange at the Leaky Bucket, where it was revealed that, or what it wasn't revealed, it was resolved that Gull was dead. The Irivian Consulate General was very much in awe of what you did, and the circumstances around the Red Sashes are now a little bit up in the air as he goes to make his decision about who is actually going to come forward and become the leader of the Sashes, who was going to sign your contract. Separately, there were a number of little messages that were passed back and forth. One of them being to the Demmer sisters from OC, another one being Nix's little letter to Mr. Wolf, which had some interesting, if subdued, reactions last night on the Void. So, I would assume currently we find you all just kind of basking in the afterglow of the Crows situation, which was a score, which we will now go into downtime for. I don't believe we did heat or anything else because we went a little long last week. So let's go ahead and do all of that stuff really quickly, guys. Let's talk about payoff. There is no way that this is not an incredibly large score for you in ways, shapes, and forms. You intended to go in and make a deal. You came away being in leadership. That, to me, says that this is a big score. So that means 8 coin minimum. Beyond that is what's called a major score or impressive loot. Is there any argument that says that you guys deserve the maximum of 10?
I mean, how much did the Crows have?
They were like all of the three factions after the explosion and the massacre that happened in season 1. They were all in a state where it was reduced in capacity, reduced in their ability to make revenue, all of that. They weren't making as much money as they typically would. But that's not what this is representative of here. What this is representative of here is the strength of the score, because from a reputation perspective, this is actually going to have a very different effect on your rep. Because you guys are, at this point, I believe, tier 4 weak? Is that what your hold is?
We will likely be that now.
Okay, so based on the XP that we did off screen for the crew, is it tier 3 or tier 4?
If XP was used for tier, I would let you know. But it is
okay. Well,
rep is used for tier, and we haven't done rep yet.
Well, no. So what I'm saying is previous. Okay. Anyways,
currently we are tier 3 stronghold. However, after the rep of this score, we will likely be tier 4.
Likely not, unless you have 1 or 2, because. Let's finish the score, and then we'll talk about the rep. The rep is not going to be good for you because the crows were significantly below you guys. They were tier 1, actually, at this point. Mm-hmm. So we can talk about that in just a second. But, so is there any argument for it being 10 coin? Because otherwise it's going to go with the 8.
I think it's just the
8 makes sense.
8 sounds good.
Okay, so let's go with 8. Now, default 2 rep with any particular score. They were 2 tiers below you, which means that it reduces the amount of rep 1 per tier. So technically it's 0 right now. Is there anything else that factored into this that you guys think makes sense in respect to rep, other than you taking over the crows, which is a big thing? But given the tier difference, the trade-off really is, I think you guys have already secured yourselves as top dogs in Crowsfoot.
That depends.
Okay.
What turf do the crows own?
What turf do the crows own? They have an HQ, which is the crow's nest, and they have drug dens, and that's it.
Does that give us turf?
That is in question, and probably should have been a question that we answered off screen. So we can have a chat about that real quickly while other things are happening, and then make a decision, and we can announce it on screen. But we'll do that in just a second. So you acquire yourselves essentially leadership of the crows under Steam. With that came 2 people identified, right? There was their mediator and his apprentice. Other than that, there appeared to be about 100 to 120 people in that room, and Steam also made sure to save Gillis.
Yep.
So 0 rep makes sense to me in a lot of cases, especially if you end up with turf. Okay, so I just want to be clear about that.
Yep.
All right. Now, what about heat, guys? Where do you guys think this falls on the scale of heat? From 0 to 6, from low exposure to devastating.
I mean, no one was actually killed.
By us, at least.
Yeah.
There were deaths involved, but you did not personally kill anybody.
Right. No one's actually
if there was
killed,
killing,
and this was relatively
no. If there's
contained.
killing involved, so it says specifically +2 heat if killing is involved. Doesn't mean that you necessarily had to kill anybody.
Okay.
Do the crows have any enemies? Because if we're taking over the crows, do their enemies become our enemies?
Yes, that would be the Sashes and the Lamplacks.
Yeah. Okay.
Who you have ignored the Lamplacks until recently, until as of lately, and you are currently in a situation of negotiation, and you are currently in the position that you are based on the relationship that was established from the Consulate General to you getting an invitation through Gillis to this event, right? So those barriers have become really thin or have vanished almost completely. It is the Lamplacks now, but that does not mean that that's their only enemies. Those are their direct enemies inside of Crowsfoot right now, which is what I think everybody is concerned about here at the table.
All right.
So, all that being said, I don't want to talk about the variations, all the additions that could possibly come into this. What do you guys think that it is by default from a heat perspective?
What's the lowest one without nothing? The first.
So there is low exposure, standard exposure, high exposure, and devastating exposure.
I would argue.
Now,
Oh, sorry.
Well, so let me use the other descriptors just so that maybe that will help you kind of clarify it a little bit. Smooth and quiet, contained, loud and chaotic, or wild and devastating.
This was absolutely contained. It was literally in one small space.
And between one faction, who's now under our control.
And it was a ceremony they were already planning to have. So it's not like we had a special kill everyone ritual. It was
An internal
we sort of
something,
walked
yeah.
into it.
Not this
Well,
week.
Steam may have had an idea about that, but let's be clear. That's always on the agenda for Steam.
Well,
Okay, so it's contained. So okay, default 2 heat by start.
Mm-hmm.
+1 for high profile target or well connected target. They were on the ropes right at that point, so I don't
And
think
their
that
boss
that
is
counts for
already
the.
dead.
Well, and they were choosing a new boss, right? So it wasn't clear that there was anybody that you would have dealt with in that particular case, right? Gillis was your foot in the door, and he ended up being the top dog until Steam took him out. But he still was not a lieutenant. He was not, somebody high up in that respect. Hostile turf. Technically, yes, but really that line is kind of gray because of the circumstances around how conflicted all of Crowsfoot is and how your tenuous relationships with all the factions in Crowsfoot. So I don't think that counts.
Plus, we weren't technically at war, and
You were not at war.
they invited us.
It's pretty neutral.
Well, somebody from the Crows invited you. You weren't invited by the leadership. You were invited by somebody in the Crows. You were also told to be quiet, and Steam decided to insert himself in that conversation. So there's a little bit of an argument that that he may or may not be responsible for any additional heat that you got, but that doesn't work that way. So contained heat, but there was killing involved.
Yep.
And those bodies have to be disposed of. Spirit wardens have to be dealt with, etc., etc. So, 4 heat.
Okay.
What does that put you guys at in respect to heat and wanted level?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 and 1.
Okay. All right. So you guys still have that wanted level that you need to deal with at some point. I'd recommend that you start taking care of that or figuring out a way to take care of that very soon because, with the power struggle and how visible you guys are going to be, your reputation, your underworld criminal reputation is really beginning to become visible. You're not be the Shroud, but let's be clear. Steam is no longer going to be able to just walk around and not be noticed when he's corporeal. People are going to know that Steam is now the de facto leader of the Crows. So, really quickly rolling for entanglements. Again, always do that off screen. Rolling twice. 1d6. So let's do this. And the lower of the two. Awesome. Okay, great. So that's going to come into play this time, definitely. Now let's get to downtime, guys. What does that mean? Who wants to start?
Did we agree on the turf there?
Go ahead and start with downtime, and let me take a look at what you just wrote for turf.
Bowerstone, you want to do some downtime?
Yeah, so first of all...
Remember that you're going to get 4 downtime. Everybody's going to get 4 because there were 2 scores last week. Okay, just to be clear.
So the way I want to do this is first relieve stress, then train and resolve, and then second is relieve stress and resolve again. So that way I can train in it twice.
Okay, go ahead and roll.
So I'll roll those. Oh crap, what is it again? There it is. So this is for the first stress. 5.
Wait, you rolled sway for your...
sorry, not stress. Heat, rather. My bad.
Oh, okay.
That's,
so you're
yeah.
Okay, no. So you said indulge vice, or you said
My bad.
your stress. Okay,
Yep.
All right. So with that roll, we're going to keep that roll. Can you describe to me what you're going to do to reduce heat?
So for reducing heat, he's going to try and, with those of different turfs, he's going to start making sure that everyone is okay there and that people are more or less on his side or are calm, especially with the recent takeover of what the Crows are now. and he's still wanting to make public appearances of everything is fine. We have everything under control.
Okay, so you're basically pressing hands to flesh again and walking
Yeah.
around. Okay, all right, excellent. All right, so with that roll, reducing heat, so you reduce your heat by 2 with that. So just Bowerstone's presence on the street, kind of calming things, helping people understand that you're working hard to make things kind of subtle. Great. So go ahead and reduce the 2 stress. So you guys are now from 8 to 6. Go ahead and do your 1 training, and then go ahead and roll for your second. Now describe to me what you're going to do for your second reduce heat, is my understanding.
Okay, so for the second reduce heat, he's actually going to, if possible, spend 1 of his coin and throw a bit of a function at what's the tavern place we've got?
The Gallows
It's
Respite.
not the Gallows Respite. So throw a bit of a function there. All are welcome, and he's also, Mike, if he's allowed, get the Rook network of the homeless in to make it look like he cares for the homeless as well.
Sure. You do.
Okay,
Sweet.
so go ahead and roll that second time. And what is that going to be? Is that going to be another sway?
No, I'm going to make this one a command, because he's going to be commanding the Rook network to. They're going to be the main driving points for this one.
Okay, great.
And a 4.
Okay, so another 2. So your combined efforts in pressing hands to flesh and kind of being a man of the people, you reduce the entire heat from your effort by 4. And then
Cool.
you're training twice.
That's great. Now, Mike, we get 2 pips. Is that correct when we train in Resolve? Is that our group ability?
Yes.
Resolve and in prowess.
Great.
All
So
right.
let's fill that up.
All right. Do you want to spend any coin or up for additional downtime actions?
I will not.
All right, fantastic. Who wants to go next?
OC, what do you got?
So the first thing I'm going to do is train in skirmish. I am going to actually go back to the academy, and I'm going to get myself a new pair of clothes, since my other ones had a tragic fire accident on them. And then I am going to, from there, that's how I'm going to train. I had a work call, sorry. I'm going to have to train in, no. You know what, I'm going to reduce heat. I'm actually going to take some of the students and some of the sashes, a group of like 3 or 4 people, and a few people from the crows, and walk around the streets so that they can see that they're unified, and just hand out flyers for Bowerstone. It's going to be more image than anything. People who in Crowsfoot obviously know, the varying factions. I'm going to try to show that we're united. If you want, I could take his red sash.
No. I'm sorry. I'm processing how that would, because while the relationship with the Yeruvian consulate is established, and there's good there. I'm just wondering about how the individuals react given. But yeah, I'm playing it out in my head as if it would make sense, and it does make sense. So go ahead and roll for your reduce heat. What action are you going to use to make this happen?
Consort? No?
Okay. Well,
it's my heritage and background, and it's
Absolutely.
it's resource information, and it's Crowsfoot, so it's
Absolutely. So go ahead and do that then.
just same position across.
Yeah, there's the position and effect don't have any relevance here in this particular case. Okay, excellent. So reducing heat, you do a reduction of 3, right? Okay. So the goodwill and unity that Bowerstone is preaching, OC delivers on by having both the red sashes and the crows in the same place, kind of showing some level of unity, right? And that begins to kind of calm the fears and even makes the bluecoats take notice that there's something different about what this message that is being, put behind Bowerstone. Okay, so that's your first downtime action.
That's 3, right?
3 heat, yep.
Yes, that's 3 heat.
I'm going to train again in skirmish. I'm actually going to go and train on the barge. I would ask Steam first, but I would go train on the barge, and then in the same time frame, while I'm sort of getting all my anger out and frustrations and everything, and just sort of physically working through it, attune to everything he's building.
Enjoy
You would see
your
something then.
stay.
What would I see?
You would see a message.
This wasn't planned, by the way.
Oh, but he wrote that message earlier, so
I didn't write it. My sister wrote it.
What would I see? I don't remember.
Because you don't know. You would
Do
see
I-
a...
Do you not want to say it?
No, I'll tell you. It says, written on the wall beside Sling's small altar area, brother, I'm going home.
Okay. She would confront you about that later in free time.
I would imagine that would be interesting. An interesting confrontation. Okay, great. So that's training again. That's your third downtime action. What do you want to do with your fourth?
I would like to start crafting a weapon. I'm going to be using he gave me my sword back,
Okay.
and I have the sword from my Lyra.
Okay.
I'm going to be working on my Lyra's sword, improving it in a way.
Improving it. Okay. So I know how to handle this from a crafting perspective. With new items, I don't know enough about the modifying of an item. What are you looking to try to do with it? Just answer me while I'm trying to read at the same time, right? I'm trying to read the rules at the same time. So go ahead.
I pretty much want to be able to, if OC would want to, if she had to kill Nye, wants to look up or either, study or see if she can find a way to make that happen with my Lyra's sword.
To make it be able to affect arcane or ghost or spirits of that kind, almost in the vein of almost like some of the same things that a spirit hook could do in some ways.
Yep.
How would you go about figuring that out?
Would OC know of anything in the Vale that has that power that her friend left behind? Anything on display, anything she could borrow and bring back?
From the Veil, I don't.
Or from her house?
Maybe.
We could start a clock for research, and then we could figure it out.
Well, I'm wondering if this is the kind of thing, because Nyx has a past with Spirit Bane charms and the specific techniques that the Dagger Isles folk use to fight against spirits or maintain themselves against spirits. So I'm wondering if he would be able to help you, and I'm just wondering if there's I think mechanically speaking, if you can come up with the right reason for how you would be able to do this in a relatively quick fashion, I think it's just a tinker roll or a crafting roll of some kind. If there's not a good narrative description of what we can do here, then I would say let's determine a long-term progress clock. If you want to just take a second and maybe talk, think about that or talk about it, I'll jump to either Greg or Mike.
All right, don't worry about it. Yeah.
Well, no, just go ahead and think about that for a second, and we'll come back to you for your fourth downtime action. Right, and if you I'm just looking for a good narrative explanation of why you would be able to easily do it. That's all. Okay, so who wants to go next? Mike, Greg,
Steam.
Yeah, I need to reduce stress. So once again, I'm heading back to the old choir, getting in my chair.
Didn't you burn that one?
No, he didn't. We talked for like 20 minutes about what the repercussions would be, and then he rolled fine.
Okay, so the second one, I am training prowess. And then I'm going back to the choir and indulging vice again. That didn't help me.
Yeah. So what happened there when you that first time when you only rolled one? What was the story there? What did you not connect with your
performance
congregation?
anxiety.
Wow.
He couldn't get the steam up.
Yeah. God must be hard, and apparently it wasn't. No, that never happens to Steam.
So
But,
these weren't as steamy as you wanted them to be.
no, it just, it was,
FX 1 and 5 Taikarosa.
not enough girls, not enough guys.
I don't want
choir
to know.
wasn't there. Yeah.
Fanfic in the dark. Good. All right. So your first action was you indulged vice. It didn't work out so well. The second one was you trained. The third one was you indulged some vice.
Yep.
And that worked out better for you. What would you like to do for your fourth downtime action?
I'm going to train prowess again. And then, Mike, we're only at 1 heat now, right?
2.
We are at 1.
No, you're right, Ren. Yeah.
Let me see. I don't think I have anything else to do.
Oh, I think you have plenty to do, but
I got plenty to do, but I'm going to spend an additional coin, and I'm going to spend an additional 2 coin, 1 on each downtime, and I'd like to train in resolve in both of those, please.
okay.
And that'll be it. So that'll be like 6 total, and the 2 coin that we just got are gone because I can't keep money.
Okay.
All right, I am done, sir.
Sweet. Nix is going back to Eden, where he is going to delve deeper and deeper into the tomes that we have there. And of course, he's going to feed Valen, water him, pat his weakening head before delving into those books. So I am going to attune to those books and study them.
Okay.
5. We'll do.
All right.
Diablo
So for which
first.
book?
Diablo first.
For Diablo. Where did we leave off with Diablo?
The Diablo. A demon wrote this text, who was not a demon before the Cataclysm. They survived the Cataclysm by some unknown way. They became a demon after the Cataclysm. It was written from the perspective of the author, written for someone who's not a demon, and the demon was in Skovlin. He was from Skovlin area.
Okay.
As far as we get.
So with 5, that's another 2. So Codex Diablo advances a little bit more now. Okay, so
Actually, you know what, Johnny? I'm just going to save you some time. Hold on, real quick. I'm going ham on these books today. God damn it! Where's my character sheet? I have 900 windows. Here's another attune for the Diablo. A 6. Does that finish it off? Bam. All right, go nuts.
give me just 1 second. Okay. All right. So it chronicles the circumstances from that point on. It chronicles the circumstances of what this particular entity experienced upon the cataclysm actually happening, and the depth which it did to try to survive the circumstances. And that was making a devil's bargain and actually becoming one of the first demons out there. And it was with one of the demon princes, because post-cataclysm, it was wandering the lands, and just at the point of death, declared its desire to continue to live. Post that, it wandered the wastes of the Deadlands for generations, for hundreds of years, until out of its madness of becoming a demon, it eventually found itself back in one of the cities of what is now what is known as left of Skovlin, accustomed itself to what society was, and eventually made its way to Doskvol, where it began to document all of the details of its existence. Things that you will find in its accounts of the Deathlands are the horrors that it saw that walked the land, what it called land leviathans. and how the barriers that are now erected around the cities were not the things that originally kept it out. It was almost a magic that was starting to fade very quickly in later years. And as you get towards the end of it, it documents its time in working on this particular volume in coordination with another group of demons, trying to capture the account of what it was like for them to all kind of come together and kind of just deal, just kind of come to grips with the deals that they made. And it was revealed to them that they are the balance of power. And that there is essentially what are known as avatars.
Balance of power, is that like a capitalized situation?
Yes. There is a balance of power with avatars who represent whatever the light is left in the world. And the ending date on this is some 200 years ago, and it's scribbled that it was last documented in Eruvia.
Okay. Neat. I'm gonna keep that cycle going on the Codex Noctum.
Okay.
God damn it, where is it? There we go. So, we're gonna attune to this book and read some creepy, spooky text. That's not great. I'm just gonna keep banging these out until it's done, I think. So that's what, 4 pieces of that pie, and I got 2 more to go.
No, you have 1 more to go.
1 more to go. Okay.
So that's 5 pieces.
All right.
So don't even roll, because the next time that you do this, it would complete it regardless.
Yep.
Okay. So tell me where we left off with the Codex Noctum.
So the Codex Noctum, it told about a legend about the green fields, which is a shared vision interpreted differently by different cultures. It basically represents heaven. Basically the journey that the soul takes when leaving the body. It's tests to determine if it can enter. It also shows a list of creatures that now exist post-cataclysm due to spectral activity. That activity being the arcane energy transferred into spectral energy, which is commonly known as necromancy.
So, as you were digging through the text, as you begin to dig through the volumes, you find references to the land leviathans that are referenced, and that they were very uncommon, but that when you saw them approaching, you basically ran or you hid. You lived in fear, because it was more than likely that you were going to die, because they would hunt you. The equivalent would be sort of a dinosaur type of a situation, except incredibly large, for some sort of frame of reference.
Mm-hmm.
Among others, there are references to tribes of people who supposedly survive in the Deadlands. By unknown means. The person who is documenting this, it's all unknown means. And then there appears to be, towards the end of this, a representation of the hierarchy of demons. At the top are the demon princes. Below them are the first caste, which are demons that were created post the cataclysm. And then there are a couple of various lesser forms, 5 in total. The demon princes there are only 4 of them. The second caste, it's not clear. And the third caste, it's not clear. But the second and the third caste are the only ones that are considered intelligent. Have intelligent intent is the documentation.
So the first, first through third are the intelligent ones?
First ones are essentially gods.
Mm-hmm.
Right? The demon princes are the gods that came down with the comments in Eruvia, and that's kind of meta established story kind of shit.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But that isn't made clear. They're just referenced as the demon princes, but it's as the top cast. Second cast is what they first created, and then the third cast is what was subsequently born past that year.
Okay.
Again, fourth and fifth are more instinctual, guttural, sort of aggressive creatures.
Gotcha.
The demon Leviathan, specific the land Leviathan, are specifically categorized as the most aggressive, which is the fifth class, or the fifth cast.
Okay. Neat. No idea why these books are useful, but I know all about them now. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of my actions, and the last one.
So just for reference, I'm just going to give you this right now because you're kind of going through and blowing through a lot of this stuff. The documentation or the writings in the actual demon text that's available in the Ghost Field are the reasons why the books are there from a folklore standpoint or some sort of point of reference.
Mm-hmm.
The demon pages are different. The demon pages at the back are different. So that's why you're not getting information about that, is because you're not specifically going after that. And you only have 3 of the 4 books anyways. Although if you put 3 of the 4 books together, when you put those 3 pages together, I'm just going to say that right now. That's where the good stuff starts.
Okay. I didn't realize that. Cool. Well, I still have a tier 2 asset to find Marique.
And that location is available to you.
Yes. And I have a tier 2 asset available for that as well.
Yep.
Man, what do I need to kill him right this second?
Who, Marique?
Yes.
OC.
That's not true. I can kill him
You think?
just as well.
It's okay, I can help you.
Listen.
For a small fee of nigh.
Of making my sweet, sweet sword. No, I
That
don't.
too.
I don't have any idea what to train for, guys. Shit. Jump over to OC so she can figure out the last bit of her sword thing while I think about.
So, if I help you, you want to help me make this sword?
I mean, I'm just gonna help you make the sword regardless, because it makes sense.
Now, it should be clear. You're not making a sword. You're updating it. You're modifying it.
Researching the.
Yeah.
Well, not even researching at this point. If Nyx is going to help OC, then it really is. Nyx is going to use whatever folklore techniques to help OC actually give the blade the ability to be able to affect.
OC's pitch is, I go around killing all these people and they're pretty easy to kill, but ghosts! And that's it.
Yeah, I don't know how I help her, but yeah, whatever that role is.
Your knowledge of...
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to give my bonus. Is that a clock? Is that a clock we're starting there for your sword?
It's not worth
Well, if you're helping her, if Nyx is helping OC, then
Yeah.
it would be something out of your folklore and techniques.
Yep.
And it would just be a crafting roll at that point.
For me?
Well, it's either...
I would be crafting
whatever-
it, he would be telling me, I want to make it. Or make, you know what I mean?
Well, my suggestion would be, unless we do a fortune roll around this, that you choose whoever has the better skill in what you think would make sense for crafting this. Tinker
Attune?
typically is...
Oh, okay.
Well, Tinker is typically what you would do in this particular case.
Can I
Attune-
have him tell Reymond how to make it? Because Raymond's the tinkerer in our group, right?
Is he really?
Yes. The bombs, the explosions. How many do you have?
Hold on.
Make any of
This
those.
this is a discussion. So it can be Attune, it can be Tinker, it can be a fortune roll. Whatever makes the most sense is what I'm trying to get to.
I think Tinker makes the most sense.
Okay, but Slade, sidebar. She would know that he did make something.
Yeah, he made his.
What's your
grappling.
tinker? That worked out great. Listen,
I can put 4 pips in it.
Well, do you have 3 now?
No, I have abilities.
No. Go nuts.
Holy shit. Yeah, I'm going to have him craft it. I'm just going to have, it's a conga line of him making it, me yelling at him, telling him what to do, and him giving him the know-how of, you know, the lore behind it.
So then what it sounds like is Nyx is going to provide a bonus die from his effort, and Reymond is going to actually do the roll.
Yeah, so I'm going to give Reymond my spare downtime action, which means OC, you still have a downtime action.
No. So it will be her downtime action. He's just going to do the roll because he's got the best skill.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I'm asking him to do it. It's for my benefit, so it'd be my roll, I think.
Can Steam assist with attunement to help with that aspect of it?
Get everyone in.
Little to the left.
Well,
you're fucking this up.
Somebody clip that, please.
How is Steam attuning going to help?
Well, I figured you're making this so it's a spiritual weapon, correct? Is that what I was gathering from your...
To kill spirits, ghosts, that genre of, yeah.
Yeah, so...
She wants, when she kills someone, for the spirit worms to not have to come.
Oh.
Is that... No,
that's a different thing.
What would that be?
You want to hook the spirit, and you essentially want the ability that the Void took last night, which is, I think it's called Crow's Veil, which prevents the crows from actually coming.
I mean, it would be nice if that's not possible, then to just... if we build it specifically for ghosts and everything on my sword, what does that do?
That would allow you to attack. So my understanding, based on what you were describing previously, was that you wanted to be able to attack spirits.
Yeah.
Not unlike the cutter ability.
Okay, so
there's a cutter's. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say there's a cutter ability specifically for that, right? There's a cutter special ability for you to be able to hit ghosts.
I have that.
Right. So you technically don't have to do anything now, because you already have that special ability, so you don't have to.
I still want to have it in case someone else needs it. I like having a weapon for all situations. I figure if there's... Sometimes. I figure if Nyx has, able to kill demons with his blade, or at least that's what we think.
Okay.
If I had this, it would be another advantage for the group. If for some reason I were hurt in combat and there was something that I couldn't grapple because I'm being pinned, someone could grab my sword, is my thought process behind this. Because I'm going to use it on my fists, like for the ability that I have.
The ability applies to whatever you choose as a weapon. It doesn't matter whether it's your fists or your sword.
So
or
it's anything that I'm using at that moment.
Mm-hmm.
Anything that you're using at that moment,
That's what my confusion was. Okay.
That's what you can affect, right? So you have complete control over that with that ability. Extending that ability, that specific ability, to your weapon.
I'd like to do that in case I didn't have the sword in my hand. If I were taken or something, and there was some type of like a ghost or something that we were fighting, someone could pick it up and it still works. It's just a weapon.
What does the table think about this? Because I misunderstood what she was looking to do. Because it sounds like two things to me. It sounds like you want to not only prevent the crows from ever being called when somebody dies, and you want to be able to attack spirits otherwise.
It's like she's making a variation of a hook. She wants to have a sword hook,
right,
where it'd be the same thing. Hooking and bottling would be the same thing. If you did it with a sword or a hook, it would keep the crows.
Sword and bottle. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean those aren't easy.
Yeah, that's like a ritual.
Then I will go with what I initially thought, which is just killing spirits. Fighting spirits with my sword.
So she wants a spirit bane blade.
Yes.
Right.
So obviously it's pretty clear the reason is in case I need to kill Nye, or if I can't do it and I'm emotional whatever, and I'm like, just do it. Someone can do it for me if they had to. If she went feral. That's my thought process is if I get her back at some point and that happens, then we're kind of covered.
Okay.
So we can go back to that original thought and just forget the latter. I didn't understand that, so that was my bad.
Yeah, I'm trying to. I mean, if your ultimate intent is to be able to attack spirits with the weapon, then yeah, I think that this still all makes kind of sense.
Okay.
Because that was what this whole rule set was based on, or what the whole ruling was based on. So, go ahead and have Reymond roll it.
Mr. Reymond.
Okay, so I'm going to use my ability Rook's Gambit, which allows me to put my best action roll into anything, which is my sway, which is, as of last XP going in, is 4.
And take a bonus die for Nix's help.
Cool. Don't fuck this up. OC needs me.
1.
Has a 6.
All ones. You made the sword worse somehow.
Yeah. I touched it.
You just broke
And
the
it all
sword.
just fell apart.
You broke the whole sword. It's really weird.
This was an antique!
You didn't fuck this up. Impressive.
Most impressive.
Most impressive.
Yeah, surprised.
Do you guys have the workshop upgrade for your HQ?
Yes, I believe we had it in the BBC.
I think we do. I mean, the,
Can you
the
confirm
BBC
that for me?
The BBC doesn't do anything for us. It's not.
Technically an actual hideout. Remember, you can only have one layer.
Yes, we do have that.
There's a backup.
We have boat, hidden, secure, vault, and workshop.
Okay, so it's tier +1, unless you want to spend more coin.
So 4.
So 4.
What's the highest?
5.
6.
For
6.
okay. Can I spend a coin to
You
bump it
can
up
spend
one?
a coin.
Okay. I'll spend 1 coin for that. I also can't hang on to my money.
So it's 5 now.
Yep.
What does that do?
That adds those dice to any roll specific to the circumstance. So in this particular case, because it's focused on the spirit, anytime she attacks a spirit and there's any type of roll required around it, she gets 5 dice.
It was worth it. That part I read in the book. Good, I thought about this. Thanks, Reymond. Okay, I'm done.
I can do this?
He tries to make something else that's really shitty.
You know what? I decided what to do with my last thing. Johnny, I want to befriend the Path of Echoes.
How do you want to go about doing that?
I don't know. But I've been there.
Figure it out.
I've been to the archive, and I know Lord Pendrin, so I assume that's my inn? Is Lord Pendrin? I've been there. They've seen my face. I've spoken to the archivist. I've been to the literal archive. So I would like to go to where the Path of Echoes is, since I know where it is, and I wasn't, like, bagged over the head to get there. And I would like to ask, I guess, would be the most simple option. They are astute librarians and collegiate scholars. I would like to join their ranks.
You want to join their ranks. That's different than befriend them.
Yes.
Okay, so befriending them would be on the level of an asset or a cohort. To join their ranks would be a very different thing, and that's going to be a long-term project.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so using your previous relationship, you would be able to go to the entrance of the Path of Echoes regardless, because it is as a part of the Charter Hall University, right? So it's on their campus. It would be the kind of thing that you would gain access to the front door. The calling card is what got you past the front door to Lord Pendrin.
Mm-hmm.
So my assumption would be that you would try to go down that path again to speak to Lord Pendrin.
Yes.
Okay. Why don't you tell me what action makes sense to you in determining this while I think about what's going to be the appropriate amount of segments?
Man, I would say either attune or sway. Like, I'm trying to convince them to let me in, but at the same time, I know that they're, like, super spiritual bent. And with the Ghost Armada and Tittle and Jot and this sweet, sweet dagger that I have, I'm honestly not sure what would the better one be.
Whatever you think you can explain easily is what I would suggest, right? I mean, if it's attuning and you want to attune and sort of see what's going on there, because again, when you attune, you saw that there were a number of spirits located around Lord Pendrin, right? Mm-hmm. So maybe it's engaging one of those. If it's, a sway or, something else, maybe it's...
So if I can get to Lord Pendrin, is that what we're saying?
Well, you've got his calling card, so okay. Yes.
So then, yeah, I would attune and speak with the less mouthy ghost.
The less
mouthy one. The one that doesn't talk as much.
She didn't technically talk at all, if I remember correctly.
She did. She actually spoke to Nyx. She actually silenced the talkative one and spoke to Nyx.
Yes, well, she said that she silenced the talkative one. That was her job, but I don't remember. Okay.
She did talk to him. I think there was like one line.
Yeah, that's fine. We'll get there. All right. Okay. So then you're going to attune then and try to gain her attention again.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let me ask about your ultimate intent real quick. Is it to become an Acolyte of the Echoes?
Nope.
Or are you just looking to take it over?
Mostly the latter.
All right, this is going to be a 10 position clock or 10 segment clock.
Okay. I mean, there's plans within plans within plans.
And it's going to be contested.
Okay.
So that means that things can pull away from the clock as well.
Okay.
All right, great. So let me go ahead and add that to the screen. And while I'm adding that to the screen, why don't you go ahead and roll me that attune?
6.
Did I not add it to there? 6. Okay, so that's going to be 3. Looks like I didn't add the 10 segment clock, so I will use this 8 segment clock for now. And then I will update it after we get out of this game. Okay.
That's it for me.
You don't want to know what happens?
Oh, that's it for me for my downtime. That's my last action. Sorry, go ahead.
But do you want to know what happens?
I sure do, yeah.
Okay. So, just a point of curiosity about how you would intentionally go this direction. Would you go in the front door?
He only knew about one door, so he would go in the one door he knew about.
Okay. So
he was let in and out of the same door.
You are initially rebuffed because your calling card was meant for one time, and they have you recorded as visiting. But as you were beginning to try to talk your way through from the person in front of you, there are voices that this particular person hears, and she's kind of looking back, and she's talking over her shoulder, and you realize that she's attuned to the ghost field, talking to somebody or something while she's communicating with you. And so you attune at that point. And what ends up happening is you realize that the two spirits that were over Pendrin's shoulders are standing there, and both want to talk to you. Both the male and the female. And they are just, really intent on getting your attention and you being allowed. The attendant is a little, concerned, so she gives you an opportunity to speak to them off to the side, but you will not be allowed down into the Path of Echoes without Lord Pendrin's allowance. When given a private audio... I'm sorry, what?
Hold on 1 second. I think my OBS might have just crashed.
Yeah, it did. Your stream's off.
Yep.
Just giving you a tip. You're good.
Is it back up? Is that a yes? Okay, cool. Carry on, Johnny.
That was really weird.
Yep, it just crashed and popped back up.
Anyways, so the conversation starts out as them trying to ask you more information about Nicholas Penderin. They're trying to figure out what you know about Nicholas Penderin. Where's Nicholas Penderin? What's going on with Nicholas Penderin? Have you spoken to Nicholas Penderin? Have you talked about? And you realize that there's something really weird about their inquiries. For the male, it is all matter of factual, wanting to know what's going on. Is his work continuing? What's going on with that? And with the woman, it's almost familial in nature. And the more that you talk to her and him, and the more that the conversation goes on, as you're trying to get a word in edgewise, you realize that the man is somebody that trained Nicholas Penderin as a whisperer, was a teacher of some kind for him, and that the woman is his mother. And that when you left her last, and she was looking at you longingly as you were walking up the stairs, that she was imploring you to find her son, and she wants to know progress behind you looking for her son.
Now, man, since I'm attuned,
Mm-hmm.
and I've learned this from Steam,
Mm-hmm.
does she look any different as a ghost now that I'm paying more attention? As in, is she his birth mother or stepmother?
She's his birth mother.
Neat.
She as much as she can let on, as without just getting in the questions about, you realize that she is his birth mother, because the picture, or I believe you had seen a picture of him at some point.
I've never seen him, but
I thought you saw a picture of him. Okay, so regardless, if you had seen a picture of him, he would look like his mother.
Okay. I was mostly asking because her ghost would likely be different because his mother was Taika Rossi.
Again, he looks like his mother.
Neat. Okay. Cool.
So as this conversation is going on, they begin to realize that your desire is not to find Nicholas, and they start trying to bargain with you. Find Nicholas and we will help you. Find Nicholas and we will help you. Find Nicholas and we will help you. Do what you can to help us and we will help you. And finally, as this conversation kind of continues to almost drone on, and as your patience begins to wane thin, you realize that there's something not quite about their desire to find him, right? That it's almost desperation.
Interesting. Okay. Weird.
Mm-hmm.
All right, cool.
All right, so where are you guys now? Because you're out of downtime.
I assume we're getting ready for the election.
You guys want
Right,
to come
but
to
where
our
are you?
party?
Like, what is going on for you guys right now?
I mean, with the election days or hours away, we'd probably be in Crowsfoot, likely at the Gallows Respite.
Okay. So a bit of information prior to, or a bit of rook information prior to you guys deciding to do anything else. As you were given information last time that the iron ships were being prepared to, for leaving that was actually Phantom. Okay, so all the information, all the exchanges of information that was going on between the noble houses has culminated in a flurry of Leviathan hunter ships, iron ships, prepping to go out to sea. And they are all beginning to steam out to sea as if in unison for some reason. The lightning barrier has been opened, and a number of ships on the order of 20, representing all of the major noble houses, the noble families who have Leviathan hunting as their business are all steaming out to sea at the same time.
Just the noble houses?
Just the noble houses. The Iron Hook Company does not have Leviathan hunters. They deal in Leviathan parts. They don't actually have Leviathan hunters.
Are the noble families in city?
Yes, they're in Brightstone.
They're still there?
The noble families, as far as you know, are still in Brightstone. All that the Brooks are bringing to you is that there is a flurry of activity around the communication between, because the couriers are rushing back and forth, and more of those couriers have started going to the docks where the iron ships were stationed. There was a bunch of preparation, and now they're starting to steam out to sea.
Okay, but no whispers of like noble families sneaking to the docks or anything like that.
Not that you're aware of, no.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the main thing. If all the nobles are going on board, I want to be on that boat.
So, also in that information, there appears to be some sort of disturbance that has happened at Iron Hook Prison. It appears to be something to do with the Skovland refugees, but nothing else is clear besides that. And that's all the information I have for you from the Rooks.
What are you Skovlanders? What are they up to now?
Steam will tell the crows to put out on the streets that Skovlanders can find safety at the crow's nest.
There's a lot of Skovlanders, more than the crow's nest can handle. You understand that, right?
No. The ones that are involved in this.
You didn't specify that before? Okay, great.
Oh, Greg, you're a beautiful man.
You do realize what event I'm referencing, though, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, just making sure, because they're not going to take you up on that. Just to be clear, so you know, they're not going to take you up on that.
I'm
okay. All right. I'm just
serious, but
I am being serious here because that's in play on Phantom. So you putting that information out there probably is not going to have any effect. But
Come on over. Cool. I have tea and crumpets.
All right, excellent.
If things get bad, there is the crow's nest.
If things get bad, they're going to White Crown. All right. So what are you guys doing?
I'm getting ready to run this place.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, when is the election? Is it today? Is it 2 days from now? Is it?
The election would, in game time, it would be, kind of one of those vague things, but this is your build up to the election score or whatever that election is going to be, right? So what do you guys want to do in preparation to that particular point?
This is going to be, I don't want to cross-contaminate the narrative, but keeping things in line with what happened on Phantom and Sling's message to Steam on the barge, I know that would come hours before her, correct me if I'm wrong, comes hours before her current predicament with Ari, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. So in keeping that framework in mind, Steam would react whenever that hits the barge. So, whether it's an hour after the message is written, earlier in the day to the events that lead to Ari and Sling being where they are, that day when he would find out what Sling wrote on the wall that she was leaving, his obsession would kick in, and the thoughts of the prophecy and the thoughts of his pantheon and the thoughts, quite frankly, of his selfish nature would kick in, and that he knows that to do what he needs to do, he needs Sling there. So without being able to obviously find her because of the narrative, like I said, this is kind of a weird eggshell type of thing to be working on. Steve would do everything in his power to try to identify, A, if she was still in city, 2, where she was, and 3, when she was leaving.
So if I remember correctly, Goat is easy for you to track.
I have to find him.
Right, but he is easy for you to track. He
Like
is
from the barge, if you knew he was there with her.
Well, no, it's not even just the barge. It's there. That was always your easy ability to. I mean,
Right.
if she was at the barge, he would, both of them would leave some sort of, some sort of visual trail for you to track in some way, shape, or form. So OC's right in that the fact that message is there, that would give you some sort of indicator, right? And so you would be able to track her to some degree for a little bit of time, right? How soon after she wrote that message would you be able to find it is really kind of, the question I think needs to be answered, right?
Here's what I would say.
Whether you would be able to track her or not.
Well, I would say that Steam is crazy busy right now, and he has no reason to check in on a frequent nature at the barge. So
Right.
what I was thinking of is it would be a fortune roll. The better the fortune roll, the more immediate would that make sense?
So I would say
It's luck.
it's even more interesting than that, right? So it'll play into the success but consequences or failure. But the way that you're going to get to that particular point is we're going to do the whole plus and minus argument thing, right? And there's a lot of things that are in your favor, but there are also some things that are not in your favor. So I think the fortune roll is a perfect suggestion for this.
I have a question. Would you have
Go ahead.
seen it before I did? If I went the day after we did all that crow stuff? I went there to train the next day.
Right. See, we're getting into a narrative jumble here because of the cross streams, but I think that it would be like, okay, instead of Steam finding it, OC is the one that finds it, but when does she find it? And I think that's a fortune roll that's based on basically sheer luck. When does Steam learn via OC?
Well, right. So because it doesn't have to be Steam learning it, it could be OC learning it and communicating that back to Steam, or OC getting a message back to Steam if she sees it there, right? So there's any number of things. Let's just go ahead and do that roll, and then that will help us resolve the narrative. So 1 die for sheer luck, 1 die for your close personal relationship, specifically with Sling. 1
You're
die
giving
for
me 1 for love? I
no,
love it.
That is not love. That is your close personal relationship with Sling.
It's love. So, okay, I'm sorry, buddy. It's 2.
It's
No, we gotta stay on track, guys. Final episode.
yeah.
We gotta power through
There's
this.
a lot. So there's a lot. You guys did more in downtime than I expected you to. So
Yeah,
there's a lot we got to get through. So there's love, because you want to call it love. There is the fact that you have had an obsession in tracking her down previously, right? And there's the fact that she left, that the message gives you some sort of residual. So that's 4 right now. Is there anything else that you can think of that goes in your favor?
Honestly, no. No, I
Okay.
think that's 4. 4 is good to go, man.
Okay, so is there anything that counts against you? And this is open to the table again.
You're managing the crows now, so you have to have some semblance of being around. So that might delay you a little bit.
Well, right, but that's what the fortune roll is. The fortune roll is when does he learn? When does when does the schedule permit him?
Through all his busyness, right?
Right. That's what the fortune roll's for. So
I just meant that might be a reason. Because
You
he's
pretty-
busier than usual.
Are you pretty flustered about this? Like your mind going mental and crazy looking to find her?
right, but he doesn't know she's gone yet.
That's a good cloud practical thinking.
Oh, don't
Especially
worry.
in that sort of frantic panic.
As soon as this shit goes down, that's exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't say anything. Can you think of anything, Johnny?
Oh, I got a couple things, but I just wanted to make sure I throw it to the table before I bring stuff up.
Go ahead, bud.
Okay, so number 1 would be the while the message itself would be the kind of thing that would endure, any residual energy that she might have left, that trail would go cold relatively quickly. Over a period of time, and if she was, walking back and forth, if she was doing like some sort of pacing back and forth kind of a thing, that would be one thing. But it would be the kind of thing that would start to diminish within a couple of hours, and it would be harder and harder for you to get to in the finishing for a couple of hours. That's a suggested one. I'm not saying that that's actually one. The one that I would think makes a lot more sense is that she also has a bunch of complicated circumstances going on right now. So she might be moving all over the place, right? And given what happened on last week's, Phantom episode, she was in one place, she went to the barge, she was in another place, and then she ended up at the brothel in Silk Shore. So there's a little bit of play into where you would, even if you were able to track her down, would you actually be able to track her down there at that point, kind of a thing.
Gotcha. I would suggest this, Johnny. Let's split the difference. We'll take your second one, knock it down to 3. But I suggest that depending on the fortune roll, your first one that you said about how long she was in there, if the fortune roll is good, it doesn't count against me for a hunt roll or whatever I use later. But if it's
absolutely,
bad, then that'll be a subsequent -1.
Absolutely.
How's that sound?
All right, sounds good. So roll 3. Just do a fortune roll with 3.
Ka-chow! Shit, that ain't good.
All right, so
please clip that.
So in the case of a fortune roll where it's about timing, I would say that this is the kind of thing where you discover it's probably hours, not minutes, not a couple hours, but hours after it actually happens.
Right.
So most of the residual stuff that you would have tracked is gone. All that being said, it gives you enough of an indicator that you need to start hitting the normal haunts that you would expect her to, and so you might cross paths, or somebody might cross paths. If you get word out to the Rook Network might actually see her, and it might come back to you, especially given the fact that OC's Rooks actually operate in Silk Shore. So it would be enough of an indicator, some of her Rooks operate in Silk Shore. So it'd be enough of an indicator for that to start happening for you, right? So if it would be too long for you to track it directly, but there is a case where you could be made that you could track her because of your awareness and because of the large network that the Shroud as a whole actually has at this point.
Okay, and like I said, I don't want to RP this out because I don't want to take any more time. But the bullet points, Steam's losing his mind. He sent out everybody he conceivably think of to find her, or to find Sky or Hocus or Jinx or whoever else that, known associates. Anything he can think of, but he is distracted for future -1D rolls that he might have to make. Distracted is an understatement. So
I don't think that I think that Steam operates in a capacity where he handles stress incredibly well.
Not where his sister's involved.
Well, you've proven that in that circumstance before, that it's actually been your benefit and not because every time one of your sisters is threatened, or that's actually played in really well into your story, and it's actually benefited you in some way, whether it's been a crit or it's been just how the dice have rolled out. So at this point, I don't think that there is a narrative reason why it would be a negative for you.
Trauma.
Well, if you were to take trauma at this point,
I already have it.
Well, if you were to take another trauma at this point, I could see that happening. But
okay.
With all that being said, can I get somebody to roll the Rooks? Either one, the homeless or the brothel workers.
How do I courtesans?
No bonus die.
Okay.
No bonus die.
They just went to a party and they were well fed.
6.
Okay. So the courtesans do notice Sling and Ari going into Silk Shore, going to a very particular location, and are able to get that information through OC back to you.
Okay, but I'm assuming that to narratively keep this right, that a party is the night of the election, correct? So we're going to have like the election, and then the party is that.
I would, so I know exactly what's going on here. If Steam is going to show up there and take a look at what's going on, I'm going to tell you exactly what you're going to see, and you're not going to be able to get inside, but I can narratively describe why you can't get inside.
So, if OC got that information, she would. I'm assuming it would be right before the election because that's when she's training and all that. She would tell him after the election's over, like not the whole thing, but she wouldn't tell him right before we're about to walk on stage and he's supposed to be watching.
Whoa!
She doesn't want to distract him. She would send out her courtesans based on that information to check everywhere. So she's still tracking for him. She's still doing that. But she's like, I need him fucking focused, and I will do I'll just be like, here's your sister. It's easier, it's less stress, and he needs to protect Bowerstone.
And narratively, that works out perfectly because then Steam doesn't run off.
You'll understand why. Yep, there's a lot more with my character that you'll later on.
Oh, we're going to have some fun with this later, though.
God, never mind. No, we're not doing it. We're not doing that. Does that make sense, Johnny, narratively? Timeline, everything? Because I would be like, oh, fuck, she left. He's going to be pissed. Let me tell my courtesans to go find her.
So you don't even tell her that she's gone.
I love it.
Nope. I think I can find... I think that I can find... Does that change anything?
Johnny, can I go hide in the archive?
I'm coming with you.
No, plebs stay outside.
Morpheus is going to be fighting Neo here pretty soon.
So it does. So I love everything that Greg has suggested as Steam would do from the fortune roll, right? And how long he would actually find out. If we play that narratively and he's okay with it, I'm even better.
I was giving an option. I don't want to step on feet here.
I'm more happy to have OC discover it, realize the circumstance of it. It still be that length of time, from the moment that it appeared to when she discovered it, and then have her subsequently call on her courtesans to go off and figure out what's going on if they find anything.
That's up to you, Greg.
And then holding on to that.
Fantastic. I think it's a fantastic story. I think
so. Because if OC saw it before you, she wouldn't tell you right before the election. If it were like that day or the day before, she'd probably wait.
I mean, we got some shit, but I mean that's
okay. So let me. Okay, so let me set the scene for what your courtesans see, and then you can decide when you tell Steam, okay? But because there are elements of this that should shock and give you pause, right? So it is at a brothel that you have zero connection to. It's one of the oldest brothels in Silkshore. It is not Madame Teslin's brothel. It is currently closed for a private gathering, and there is a ton of mercs, private soldiers, physical, all kinds of, armed guards. Basically, think about the Pinkertons, who are, essentially the best hired gunmen, corporate wise in the West. That's what's been hired to guard this particular place. And there are a number of individuals, noble families, merchants. They're all going in, and it is very clear that for everybody else that does not have an invitation to get in the door, to go the fuck away. So it's screaming. There's something major going on here. What's the name of what?
The place.
Oh, I hadn't come up with a name for the place.
Okay, fine. You can come up with it when we go into when I tell him. You can just.
Right, but so just for your awareness, there are a lot of red flags that the courtesans would be like, something really fucked up's going on here. We don't have eyes in here at all. We don't have anybody working inside because they are being very, very controlled about what's going on inside.
Okay,
all you're seeing is, but it like I said, it would be sending up red flags left and right for you. Like this, there's something seriously going on, and they were observed. Ari and Sling were observed walking in the door.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm sticking with it. I love you. Don't get mad at me.
Oh, this is fantastic. It's the greatest story. This is awesome. I love it. I couldn't love it anymore. Proud to be a part of it.
Okay.
Trent says the house is called the Crimson Garter.
That's canon. Crimson Garter.
There you go. OC, there's the name of that one.
The Crimson Garter.
I'm about to own that bitch.
Okay. So that all of that would essentially be still in free play with information gathering around the election. What are you guys doing now?
You know what? Because, Nyx values Bowerstone, as much as he values a good jacket, he's gonna put in some work around the election. So Johnny, what do we expect at an election? Like, paint a picture of what does a Doskvolian election look like?
Each district has it differently. You would expect an incredibly large event in places like Brightstone, Charter Hall, appropriate to the class of people that live there. In a place like Charter Hollow or Coleridge or even Crowsfoot, it would be a very different affair where the local establishments, including the Gallows Respite, would be asked to allow folks to enter and cast their vote. And their vote would be essentially a token that they would be given as they enter, and it would be put into buckets. And then the buckets would go off and be counted at a central secret location. And that the ultimate announcement would be in the square in front of the Crow's Nest, because that is technically the center of Crowsfoot. And there would be a stage erected, and that's where the announcement would be made. And, essentially, Alderman-elect Bowerstone would probably accept his nomination and accept the position.
Okay, so
would have been communicated to you via Lady Rowan, who was your direct contact for beginning this process, and all the back end stuff is all of those buckets will get taken to a very private location. They will be completely disregarded, and within the hour of the last bucket arriving, it will be announced that Lord Bowerstone is now the alderman of Crowsfoot, and that there will be pomp and circumstance at the election.
When was my last correspondence with Lady Rowan?
You tell me, because it's been a couple of weeks. You tell me, would you have been keeping up on it? I mean, because Nyx went from being really up on the I'm going to make sure that this election happens and I'm going to do all of these things to he got distracted by other things. So I would assume that Nyx, the character, would still have been organized enough.
So Nyx would have been organized enough to at least maintain face with Bowmore and Rowan.
Correct.
Yes, both of them, and Pendrin as much as he could, like at least eyes on him. But are Bowmore and Rowan swept up in this whole noble house Leviathanship thing? Would he have noticed that by chance?
So they would have been swept up in this whole thing. You would know that both families own Leviathan ships, iron ships, but they, in maintaining their position as the Council of Six,
are more or less stuck in the city.
Well, it's not a matter of they're stuck in the city. They would have multiple responsibilities and not just their family business.
Okay. So he would have kept
and you
up
know
face
that,
with both those people.
And you would know that Rowan would not be leaving her premises.
Right.
But that Bowmore would actually be there, and that Rowan would send either a family member who does leave the estate, or some sort of an attendant as a part of that for that ceremony.
So I would like to use that to gather some information with my contacts in the upper echelon of society. Bowmore, Rowan, anyone else of import, not the Aruvian general, but like people of that status, and see if there are any wild card situations I should be aware of at this election. Have there been any rumors in the upper crust? Have there been, talks of dissension, talks of dislike about what Bowerstone is doing in Crowsfoot? And essentially, I'm going to consort with the higher ups and gather information on this election.
Okay, so roll it. In this particular case, because it's in free play, I don't think that the position needs to change from controlled. I think that makes a lot of sense. The effect, I think, is arguably up in the air.
Okay.
And the reason I say that is it could be from limited, in that it's a general inquiry.
Yep.
Or it could go all the way up to great, depending upon how descriptive you want to get into to what links that you would actually be looking to find this information. So essentially what the way that you worded it is that it's rumor. You're looking for rumor. You're looking for any note of dissension in the ranks among either the Circle of Six or among the other, just anybody that might indirectly be involved. So that implies to me that you're kind of looking for that. If you were to say get a little bit more detailed, get chummy with Balmore, and really kind of get a feel for it, because remember, he is the captain of the Bluecoats in Brightstone, right? So he would have some stronger influence and awareness of what's going on the street, even in Crowsfoot in this particular case.
Nyx has plans for both Rowan and Bowmore. I think he would play this one a little more close to the chest and just casual conversation. Have you heard anything? Not pressing too heavy. So I would say it's standard for that.
Okay. All right. Well, then let's go with standard. Do you want to push yourself or take a devil's bargain?
No.
All right.
4?
There are some vague rumors about.
Oh wait, shit! Hold on. I'm sorry. I actually have a +1 to that.
You do? For what?
Do. Hold on. I will put it in chat in a second. 4 either way. This. Nope, that's the wrong sheet again. This. Ka-chow. +1 to consort.
Oh, okay.
Which gives us a +1 on our engagement roll.
Yep. Okay, so there are some vague rumors around gangs from the docks causing a ruckus in order to disrupt the ceremony.
Okay. Interesting. So Steam's off being super emo. OC's off being Nyx. And Reymond is Reymond. Is that?
Wait, how is Steam being emo?
Oh, you don't know anything. That's right. OC didn't tell you shit.
He just always looks emo.
Yeah. Look at the eyeliner on him.
You mean the guy? Well, that's not that.
So in that case,
Say that to my face.
Guy liner.
Man, how do I?
Not you.
Yes, take your frustration out on him. It's totally his fault.
So he takes this information about the docks, the dock worker people, or people in the docks that are going to be causing a ruckus. The stone cloaks, which is a thing we now have, is they are going to form a protective perimeter around Bowerstone, whether he knows it or likes it or not.
So currently your stone cloaks are only made up of crows, right?
Yeah.
You still have to get figure out the circumstances around the red sashes.
Yes.
And you still have not contacted the lampblacks to really make sure that they're going to do anything.
Right.
Specifically.
There's always season 30.
So
well, yeah.
I'm gonna go ahead and do that. So the stone cloaks are a quality 5 asset. I think that's how that works, right? To protect Bowerstone in case shit goes down.
Well, they're actually tier 3. They're a tier 3 or quality 3 asset because. Wait a minute. So they're not an asset. They're an actual cohort, right?
Yeah.
So they're not 5. They're 3, right? There's 3 dice that you rolled.
Yep.
They got a 5, which means that they're doing a reasonable job, but there's still some consequence to their involvement.
I'm confused.
You rolled a 5 on your cohort roll to form a protective barrier around Bowerstone.
Yeah.
So that means that you mostly succeeded and they're providing a good barrier around.
Yep.
But there's still some circumstance or consequence potentially coming into play. Okay, that's what I'm trying to get to.
Gotcha. Then I'm going to use my half of the rooks, and I'm going to spread the positivity of Bowerstone around there, and they're just going to hand out pamphlets. And
Add a +1 because I'll have my girls do the same in the bar that they're voting at.
I assumed your girls were busy.
I have more than 2 or 3 girls.
Doing that kind of thing.
Those are
Johnny,
also my
did they
girls
give
in
notes
Silkshore.
For the whole party that they just went to?
I'm sorry, what?
They were at that party and basically they were fed and well cared for, even though it was a ruse.
But you mean you're talking about? So which rooks are you talking about? Are you talking about?
Nexus homeless.
The homeless.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'm feeding the homeless.
Okay. All right.
Would that give him a bonus die?
Would that give who a bonus die?
The homeless.
The rooks.
Sure, why not?
Sure. I'll roll an extra d6. So 5. So 5 on the rooks to spread the positivity and message of Bowerstone. Because they're homeless people and he just fed them and clothed them or something. That's it. That's all he's doing. So I gathered some information. We've spread the rumor of Bowerstone being as awesome as he possibly is, and there's a protective force following him, whether he likes it or knows it or not.
Okay.
And that's all I got.
All right. Anybody else want to do anything in free play?
No, she's just doing her hair so she can look nice.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to have a scene with all of us before the announcement, I think, to wrap
Well,
everything.
so is that a part of the... Okay, so in my mind, the way that I think this is going to play out is that the score is the actual ceremony, because everything else that's been established is that the position is Bowerstone's, but that there's going to be ceremony, and that ceremony, you getting through that ceremony is essentially the score. Right, and that should give you some idea about what potentially could happen.
Okay.
All the prepping that everybody has done for that moment, great. So that factors into it. But if you're having a scene prior to you going on stage, is that a flashback moment, or is that a dialogue that needs to happen prior to the score starting?
Probably a dialogue prior,
Okay.
just with everyone, because I'm assuming all of the Shrouders. We're all gathered here for this event.
Well, it's right outside of Crow's Nest, so we can all be just right inside the door of the Crow's Nest, right? I mean, we literally can be right there.
So that's where I'd actually prep myself, because I wouldn't go home and prep myself there, because I'd probably get pinged on the way to the ceremony, knowing the way these streets are. So just to clarify for everyone's characters, you're all there, correct?
Yeah.
So Reymond would begin pouring just whatever liquid beverage is around and start handing it out to each and every one of you. It's certainly been a time, hasn't it? Remember the last ceremony or event that we had?
Peripherally.
Steam, I had my doubts about you, but you have protected my back more than anyone else has. You have also become my greatest mentor, and I thank you very much.
You're welcome, Alderman.
OC, my dear, things have not been easy between us, but you have made the greatest sacrifices for me ever, and that is something that I wish to repay one day. Thank you for everything.
She nods and doesn't say anything.
Nix, you're a bit of a bastard, I'll give you that. But you've never done wrong by me. You've done what's right for everyone. Thank you for not betraying my trust.
OC, please take his drink again. He appears to be drunk. I have wronged and lied to every single one of you, and have manipulated you almost every day. But you're right, it does benefit everyone, usually. Please don't be drunk on stage.
To us all.
Doors and keys.
Oh, I took it. Well, doors and keys.
Now, I have a city to win.
No, I did that for you as well.
Did you?
Well, you murdered several people, but that didn't help the city winning part. That was just... I think you just enjoyed it.
Why don't we say we all had an equal part in this? I was the face. You can fight who was the brains.
Well, shall we?
And I guess now we can roll for the score.
Okay, so how are you guys approaching this? Is this a social? Is this just strictly a social engagement?
Social?
engagement,
I would assume so.
or is this the kind of thing where you're expecting a fight? Because if you're expecting a fight, then it could be a little bit different, right? I'm looking to figure out, with all the prep that you've done, it seems like you were concerned that there might be a fight. But are you really expecting there to be one?
So I think we are expecting there to be a fight. However, Nyx has taken precautions to prevent that from happening. So I would say that at this point, Nyx is confident in his abilities and the underlings that are underneath the Shroud to do their job.
Assuming that it's an assault, right?
Yes.
OC
Okay.
is ready to kill that keel bitch if she tries some shit again. She's not pushing her this time.
Yeah, this is straight murder time.
Yeah.
This is not, he is the alderman now. If somebody comes at him, it is an attack against the city official, which means...
But I think we're approaching this as a social, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
no,
I'm
it's a
going out there
social.
and
It's a social and we'll be reactionary.
Yeah.
I get a trophy, right?
Yeah, you get
Or
a
a
blue
certificate.
ribbon.
You get
Yeah.
a giant pair of scissors.
Yes.
Don't give him that.
You get
Is it a spiritual weapon?
No.
I'm just saying, if I get to run around with a pair of ultimate scissors.
You're
I'll
not
do
allowed
that.
to touch my sword. We ready?
Okay,
this?
so it is you're treating this now as a social engagement.
Yeah.
Okay, and
Oh,
so
wait.
go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, my loadout speaks otherwise, but
Hold on. Yeah, we'll get the loadout. And I realize that you're expecting a fight of some kind, but all right. With all that being said, the detail is the actual ceremony stage itself, right? That is the social connection, or the social connection is, how does that fit into this, right? What is that detail?
I would say it's the election itself.
Okay? I just want to be clear about that, because how you're approaching it here will actually determine a little bit of how the ceremony and the event will run. Now, detail aside, social engagement. What's the loadout, guys? Be very specific about what you're bringing here.
Steam.
Steam will be bringing his fine lockpicks, his fine shadow cloak, his silence potion, his dark sight goggles, his spirit bane charm, his blade or two, and his trusty armor. God bless you.
OC, what is your loadout?
Fine clothes and jewelry, trance powder, a blade or two, throwing knives, and an unusual weapon, which is her sash.
Bowerstone?
Fine clothes and jewelry, throwing knives, and armor.
Bless you.
Yeah. Nyx is going to be bringing 2 unusual weapons, a spirit bane mask, documents, and a concealed. Oh no, that's already part of my thing. Shit. I think that's it. Oh, a fine bottle of whiskey, because everyone likes to celebrate.
Hell yeah.
And that's it. That's all of our
Okay.
loadouts.
So, for loadouts, all done. Engagement time, guys. This is a pretty significant roll. We're going to make Mr. Reymond roll it, because it is his election after all. Starting with 1 die for sheer luck. What's playing in your favor, guys?
1 die for weaving the web.
Okay.
I'm the only candidate. I don't know if that plays into the results.
So the election is guaranteed. You know that. So that really isn't what this is about. This is about the situation of the ceremony. That is the announcement of your election status to Alderman of Crowsfoot.
So
What's the reputation with the people?
I mean,
Are they-
you know how
are
it went
they-
last time.
Yeah, I was going to say, are they all for this? Are they excited for this? Are they ready to get a
You guys
shindig?
didn't do that research. So do you want to do a research roll to find that out first?
No, I don't think it really matters. What are we going to prepare more? Like,
Hype the crowd? We'll get
So
a
I
hype
would
man.
say, so 1 for default, 1 for weaving the web, 1 for the rooks spreading the room, the Bowerstone mantra.
1 for the rooks that are, or 1's for the stone
1 for
cloaks.
the stone cloaks.
the information that we gathered about the dock.
one for the preparedness that the dock is going to attack. One for the fact that the crows now belong to us and won't be a problem, or in theory won't be a problem. I would argue, but it's a weak argument, the same thing applying to the red sashes, but we don't own them and they haven't signed anything yet.
How about the fact that they wouldn't fuck with OC?
That's a push, yeah. They're not going to attack us, but we know they're not going to attack us, which is nice.
That's all I got. So 7 until you start shitting all over us.
Okay, so first things first. God, how do I want to start this? Because it's a laundry list of things. And again, I'm only going to remove one specifically, and then the rest are going to be to the table. So the one specifically is, while the red sashes is a push, the lamp blacks are an unknown. So that is the one guaranteed removal. So you're down to 6.
Yep.
Now the ones go to the table, and you guys make the decision here. While Bowerstone has spent a lot of time pushing hand to flush, every time he's rolled when it comes to reducing heat, it's actually been kind of low. It's usually been 1s and 2s. And you can correct me if I'm wrong, Slade, if it's more than that. But if I remember correctly,
I thought it's between 3 and 4s. Like I was only removing around 2 stress pips per time.
Right, but that's what I'm.
So it's
I'm
nothing
inferring
great.
Right, it's not. It's an average kind of a thing, right? So, based on the fact that you haven't done your research about how the crowd feels about you previously, and you've been doing a lot of hand to flesh pressing, there's a fair amount of uncertainty of whether you're actually going to get the support of the people, right? So that's one possible. That goes to the table. Another one is that even though all of these deals that you have been working together as a group for the, with the Council of Six, with the other aldermen, just basically guaranteeing, you don't know what their ultimate intention is. You never got what their ultimate intention is for allowing this to happen. Right? They didn't present anybody else as their candidate. Keel was never a part of that equation. Keel was never actually doing anything that was directly related to that. He wasn't their candidate. He wasn't somebody else that they suggested. So there's an unknown here about what this Council of Six actually is intending to happen once Reymond becomes alderman. So there's a weird sort of political unknown, because they never, in any case, when talking to Reymond or Nix at the 2 meetings for Rowan and Bowmore, did they ever actually state why they thought supporting him was such a great idea? So you don't know that
because I'm a puppet. I mean, it's kind of obvious.
Well, they may have said that, but they could put a puppet in themselves, right? They could have supported Keel and made Keel's candidate a puppet. What is it about Bowmore, or what is it about Bowerstone that forced them to not do that? So there is that unknown in this situation as well. And last but not least, while the rumor that the docks, that there's something going on with the docks, and that there are potentially gangs coming from the docks to attack, that's the only level of rumors that you went after. That's the only place that you went. You didn't go to the street level to listen for anything else that was going on, and see if there was any other activity. So that is a third. Of those 3, which makes sense for reducing the pool from 6?
I would say
Council of Six, yeah.
Really, that's the only one I was going to disagree with.
Okay.
I was going to say the docs for sure, like the not checking any more thoroughly about other people having an issue with this.
That's what I would say.
That makes sense.
Okay.
And then I was going to say it's either one of them. I'd say we should pick one of the 2, either the Council of Six or the people. I think they're both kind of the same thing. They're both the same side. They're both opposite sides of the same coin. Like neither of them affect the election because we already have the election in the bag. I don't think the people...
Council of Six would.
Right, but they already guaranteed us the election.
Yeah.
So I don't think they're going to assassinate you after guaranteeing you the election. That seems like a waste of time. So I don't think there's a threat from them, but at the same time, I also don't think that there's a huge threat from the people based on the last, press conference you held. They responded well to you, and you have been glad-handing somewhat. So I don't think they're going to have a riot and do anything that would negatively affect the election, but I do think we should pick one of the two of those.
The only thing is, I would say, is the people would take one away, because we showed up with 2 heads in a bag in a bar that's in Crowsfoot.
And Reymond did not hide himself.
And we
Nope.
we also cut his
So
head off.
I wouldn't take one away for the council,
Yeah.
because that's a later problem. That's not a right now with the score that we're doing. We're not worried about. We're worried about assassination attempt in general. Later on, we can protect him. We can see what they want. We can weasel our way. Whatever we have to do. But I think one's more pertinent than the other.
So I have to ask Greg why does Steam think that the council is an issue?
Oh, I thought it the whole time.
Okay, so because I'm hearing different arguments, and I will restate the council and I restate the people, but you again, those 3 are on you. It sounds like you're okay with removing one, which is the not doing a thorough enough rumor check. The one about the council is you don't know their ultimate motives, and you don't know if their ultimate motives actually involve this ceremony or beyond. That's the thing. That's the unknown in that particular case. Why it's a negative. The people, on the other hand, is really just a matter of you didn't really identify what was going on with the current sentiment of the people, right? Reymond was out on the streets up to the last minute, reducing heat, pressing, hand to flesh kind of a thing. So that one almost seems, if I was choosing one of these, that one almost seems like less of an issue than the council complete unknown, because they are the power center of Doskvol in respect to the politics. So, but again,
I could see that.
You've removed one. Which one do you want to choose as the other?
Okay, I can see the council 6. That's
All
it.
right.
That's
Well, I'm good with it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's a 4. We're down.
That's 4. And that means that Mr. Bowerstone is now going to roll 4 dice.
Okay.
So fortune roll 4, all 6s, please.
You wish.
It's like
Where the hell is
Tinkertown. It's like
Fortune?
Tinkertown.
What the hell is fortune again?
It's right under. Go down on the right, under resolve
is.
and prowess. No, okay.
That's not good. You're bad at everything.
No, that isn't. That's
At
not
least
great.
I have a cool sword.
You're bad at all the things.
Did you say Elda things?
All the things. All the things.
Okay, so it's a 4.
Alrighty.
What a season finale.
Crack your knuckles, kids.
Okay.
Going in dry.
Give me. Oh, that was not what I wanted to hear. But okay. We're gonna do this really interesting.
You'd think so.
I'm going to allow Reymond to set the stage for what it's like waiting just down the stairs and off camera. Or essentially, if you were off camera from what would be on stage, that would be a presentation, and you were down the stairs waiting for them to make the announcement, what's going on? Who's with you? What is the setup? Set the scene for us.
So I believe it to be a bit of a closed off room with his stone cloaks, and of course, if Steam or OC or Nix are in there with him.
Steve will be with him.
Yeah, they're all just waiting for the announcement. I don't know if his attitude would be anxious or hurry up because I want to drink and celebrate, but he's not too concerned. So yeah, it's pretty enclosed, and there's not just like staff or anything walking through there. No randoms, especially with the stone cloaks on point.
Okay. But so if this is sort of a backroom situation, what is the? I mean, who else is there with you besides the Stone Cloaks and this? Because you aren't the 4 of you are not the only people that are a part of this essentially, announcement, this event at the stage. So kind of just build the larger world for us around what's going on backstage.
Okay, so if it is backstage, there would be people still going through paperwork, documents, making sure that drinks are refreshed, attendees, stage managers, just everyone going, like it'd be pretty filled with people going around doing their jobs.
Okay.
And of course, you've got the people on the other side, on the outside, that are anticipating, waiting to hear what's going to happen.
Okay. So you're getting somebody who is kind of giving you an indication of when you're going to be expected on stage, and they give you the 2, and that means 2 minutes. As there is a loud, essentially barker or master of ceremonies, who is kind of warming up the crowd for the announcement, and the crowd is a bit lackluster in their enthusiasm initially, but when the MC starts telling jokes, the crowd starts to lighten up a little bit. It's almost like a circus kind of event, or a sort of a playing to the masses, very a Shakespearean sort of playing at the Globe kind of a thing. Hitting the lowbrow, the lowbrow humor. The Stonecloaks are incredibly vigilant about what they're doing, given everything that Nyx had asked them to do in preparation of this. They are doing quite a phenomenal job. And they are trying to look good for Steam, who is now their de facto leader. Because while they are Stonecloaks, their loyalty is still, to some degree, to the Crows, because that's where they came from. And so there's a fair amount of attempts to impress or do a good job, because the leadership of the Crows is standing right in front of them. Other things going on behind the scenes are there are people with bundles of essentially cut up paper that's going to look like large forms of confetti that they're going to throw out, and so they're beginning to organize as the final element of this, so that when your speech is done, when you've given your speech, your acceptance speech, they'll throw it up in the crowd and to make a big kind of hoopla thing, and it's designed more to you realize obviously that this is designed more to kind of make you feel comfortable and represent the excitement for what you can see out into the audience. And so you're just kind of taking this all in as the person telling you that you have 1 minute left. At no point do you feel uneasy about the people that are around you, given how much effort has been put between OC and Steam being there to protect you, Nyx's attempts to make sure that the situation is managed as possible, and the Stonecloaks are there to protect you. And the person comes up and gives you, a final 10 seconds and starts to wave you towards the stairs.
As he's walking up, I don't mean to interrupt you, but as he's walking up,
No, go ahead.
Steam will stop for 1 second, kind of turn him to their face-to-face, and he'll grab him underneath by the armor that's underneath his shirt, and he'll just kind of pull him upright a little bit, and he'll look his friend in the eye and say, "Go get them, Alderman, but don't forget where you came from." And he offers him a smile.
Okay, because you brought that up, describe to me how the armor is placed on him. Is it just the chest armor that he had previously? Okay, all right, because that's going to be bulky and it's going to be obvious under whatever outfit he's wearing, unless he is dressing incredibly like heavy overcoats or that kind of a thing.
Being Alderman allows you to put on a few pounds.
Okay, all right. So 10 seconds or 5 seconds until you're asked to go on stage. You hear the crowd is getting warmed up by the MC telling one final joke and kind of rousing them up, and and giving basically saying, "And give us a round of applause for the new Alderman of Crowsfoot." And there is a light source that appears to be an electroplasmic light that was installed specifically so that they could do this. As that light source just kind of shines down at the stairway, as they are expecting you to begin to make your way up onto the stage. How does Alderman Bowerstone arrive on stage?
So I'm guessing it's from the side of the stage. So he's just going to walk out there, make his way to the spotlight, and he is just waving to the crowd, just clasping his hand. Yes! Love you! Thank you for coming!
Okay.
He's enticing the crowd to get more and more excited.
So, as you approach, moving forward towards essentially the center of the stage, you see that there is some sort of rigged up electric device run by electroplasmic with huge conduit wires, 1 inch thick, just running in different directions. And it stands on essentially this pole that stands up, and you realize if you were looking at it for the first time that it looks like this weird sort of bulbous contraption, and what it really is just a mic. And you can see that the MC was, and the reason that you were able to hear the MC so clearly is because he was speaking into this device, and it was coming from these 2 giant, essentially boxes pointed at the crowd on stage, right? Or from the stage off into the crowd. And as you look out into the crowd, the square that is, and let me bring it up on Roll20 real quick, since you guys can see it. You might want to zoom in a little bit.
You're on the balls of me.
Mike, yeah, I'm getting you there. So it's right here. This is where the crow's tower, the crow's nest is, right? And so it's in that square right there. And so it's a relatively big square. And the crowd goes out for a pretty good distance. You realize that whoever organized this got enough people in the crowd to come and actually see, so you can't see far enough into the back, right? There's at least 500 people here. And the the MC is waving you up to the mic, and Alderman, come speak into this device here. This will amplify you so that everybody can hear. Come, Alderman, come, give us your speech. Congratulations, Alderman. Please come give us your speech. And he steps back, waiting for you to step up and address the crowd.
So just step into the mic real close and go, who's ready for a change in Crowsfoot?
The crowd
and just hype them up even more.
The crowd gives you a lukewarm response, and they're murmuring about that. They don't understand the reference.
I'm talking about peace, finally, and you have voted for that. Look at all that has been accomplished even while I've been doing the campaign. I have heard that peace, while I've been doing this, is already on its way. And thanks to you good people and your votes, you're the ones making this change.
Nick's cuts.
Crowd isn't really kind of responding to that. Their enthusiasm is mixed. There's some applause, but there also appears to be some not confusion, but a lackluster just sort of circumstance. Like they're just you're not grabbing them yet with what you're saying.
I am pleased to announce that I can finally reveal our means to creating peace in Crowsfoot. Ladies and gentlemen, and I'd like to usher forward the guards that were with Reymond, the Stonecloaks. I would like to introduce you to the new peace. Welcome to the Stonecloaks. These brave men and women have been trained and will make sure that you never have to fear in Crowsfoot again.
Calls of heckling begin to happen. What about the Bluecoats? What about their service? Why do we need another police force?
2 is always better than 1, my friend. I have all my faith in the Bluecoats, and the Bluecoats, I remember when they saved me from that attack when I gave my last speech. They do a tremendous job. But these Stonecloaks have been specially trained in different ways than the Bluecoats.
They look just like thugs.
OC is going to take the stage behind him with her swords, just like in case anyone tries to get up on the other side of the stage. Kind of showing, like, don't. And just stand there next to him.
Nobody appears to be moving from the stage. In fact, the crowd is almost they're not interested. At least those in front are not really interested in what's going on as much as the hecklers are coming from about just a third of the way back.
What do the hecklers look like?
Vaguely, you can barely see them because there's a blaring spotlight shining onto the stage coming from the right side of the stage.
Okay.
So it's hard for you to see. You just know that from a listening standpoint that they're probably a good 20 or 30 feet beyond the stage, like into the crowd itself.
Gotcha.
So, is it one or two people heckling, or is it a few that are?
There are a few, and it's coming from random spots in the crowd. And you're having, again, because the spotlight is shining. The spotlight is focused on the stage, but it's shining really kind of highlighting you at the center. So it's really kind of hard for you, and you've got this apparatus that you're supposed to be speaking into, and you're having trouble, at first, kind of figuring out what's, the right way to do it without the feedback. And then, you've got this light shining in your eyes. So you're a little disoriented a bit.
So he's actually just going to plainly just ignore them and just look back out into the other crowd. All the promises that I made to you in these coming next terms, they will be fulfilled. I have never lied. All my promises have come true, and they will. As my reputation goes, and shall stay.
More heckling, kind of mumbling, not anything coherent in particular, because you're not talking about anything in particular. There's just, some negative sentiment basically coming in, but it's not, not specifically addressing the stone cloaks or anything.
Thank you for choosing me to be your alderman.
So when you say thank you for choosing me, was that what you had agreed upon as your signal for ending the speech? Yep. Okay. So at that moment, on the sides of the crowd, you see bundles of confetti or papers being thrown up, and they're throwing it up high in the crowd, and you're kind of looking at it as the light begins to kind of reflect when the first shot comes off, aiming for your head. Roll to resist.
Oh, beautiful.
You wanted assassination attempts. This is the final one.
So which is resisting it? Would that just be skirmish?
So how would Reymond Bowerstone resist in this particular case? Anybody?
So real quick, Johnny, describe me the stage.
The stage is quite a large stage, probably about 50 feet long, about 20 feet deep. The mic is at the front of the stage, sort of in the center, and the spotlight is shining directly on him, and it's making it difficult for you guys, if you're around him, as it sounds like you all were, to see farther out into the crowd.
And where did this shot come from?
You can't actually see where the shot came from right now because the light is making it difficult.
Is there like a sound direction, left, right, center?
It's coming from past the crow's nest.
Left, right, center?
Center.
Okay.
Center.
Because the crow's nest is right center behind you all.
Sure.
Or in front of you all.
Sure. Then in that case, as soon as that pop happens, that is identifiable as a gun blast, Nyx, who is not on stage, kicks a lever that is... I never said I was on stage. I said I looked out to see. Either way, I use Mastermind. I kick a lever, and a panel pops up in front of him, deflecting that bullet, shattering that plate.
Describe to me this mechanism.
It's a spring-loaded, porcelain plate that's would deflect a single round.
How big would this thing be?
Bowerstone height.
Okay.
I'm not sure how tall he is, but enough to I would say that Nyx would have a one use. There'd be one left, right, or center, and it'd be able to pop one up. But the bullet would penetrate and it would shatter it.
Okay, so when it shatters, what does that mean? Does the entire porcelain facade of this thing shatter, or is that just?
I would assume at least a portion of it would shatter. The vast majority of it would shatter, probably at least halfway down.
Okay.
I'm basically emulating a military plate carrier. If you take a round in a plate carry, it basically cracks it. And if this thing is standing vertical, pieces of it would fall away. There might be like a waist-high piece left, but it would definitely leave his upper torso exposed and head.
Can OC react after that happens?
You sure will be able to. But I want to narrate the circumstances of that popping up. Because you're using Mastermind, which gives you the ability to throw your special armor at him in a unique way,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
Would this be something that Bowerstone is aware of?
No.
Would this be a thing that
I mean,
OC or Steam would be aware of that you were going to do?
I don't know. Probably not.
Mike, I can use foresight.
You can use it next time you get shot in the face.
It goes for 2 times.
You can use it the next 2 times you get shot in the face.
He's
I don't know.
not
I don't,
wrong.
You're the alderman.
I don't think that Nyx would have so based on the fact that there was already an assassination attempt on the stage similar to this one, and Nyx is also aware of the fact that there was an assassination attempt when we left Lady Rowan's house. So I don't think Nyx. This is not too far outside for Nyx to have set up one of these kind of things, and I also don't think anyone would be surprised that Nyx would do this. And I don't. Think
So
Nyx
I'm not.
would
I'm not.
actively
I'm just.
tell anyone. Yeah, I
Well,
don't think
I'm
you would need to tell anybody.
This happening that kind of a surprise, it would be, it would be a little bit shocking because OC is standing right next to him and she's prepared, and for that to that to come up as the shot comes out and it shatters.
What she's going to do anyway is going to have the same reaction, though. She's going to dive on him and push him towards the stone cloaks.
Okay.
So whether he's dead or not, he's now in the safety of the soldiers, and they would take him off stage.
Absolutely.
And she wants to say something before she gets off the stage.
Well,
Yeah,
I get that.
I don't think Nyx would say anything. He would just have these set up.
Yeah.
Okay, so, and just for your awareness, Slade, foresight would not apply in this particular case because you're not assisting him in anything in particular. This is a special ability that he's actually engaging at this point. So if OC was protecting you and she was getting shot at and she needed to roll a resist, that would be a case where your foresight would make sense, right? Because you're offering assist without stress. Okay, so shot comes out. This thing comes up. Plate shatters. OC, go ahead and act. What are you going to do?
She's going to, with her momentum, push him into the stone cloaks, and like she
Push
would. They
him
would
into the stone close where?
on the stage. The people who are behind him on the stage.
Just
she
push
would-
them all into the. Okay.
Yep, she would, and they would like whistle, and they would pull him off, and she would look out with the mic still on. Reward for anyone who has any information. This will not happen anymore.
Roll to resist a shot to your head.
Okay.
As there are other shots coming at the stage as well now, because there are multiple sources firing.
So what am I rolling?
Roll to resist. What do you think would be a good way to resist this?
Hold on.
Prowess.
Yeah, prowess. I would say skirmish, but maybe not.
It's
Well,
well,
so
insight, prowess, or resolve.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's one of your attributes. It's not one of your actions. And
Okay.
prowess is right. So
As a bonus die. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, what are you looking for a bonus die for?
She's gonna anticipate another shot. She's saying it and getting out of the way. So if it's while I'm speaking, sure. But if it's like at that second, she would say it and duck behind the.
I'll
podium.
give her a bonus with foresight.
Okay, so
Because as it gets pushed away, it's going to be like, oh, see, duck!
Goose.
right. So
This is not the
you're going
time.
to take 2 bonus die, one for anticipating it, but that's the only time I'm going to give it to you. And
Yep.
you're going to take 1 for the foresight that he is giving you. So go ahead and
She's-
roll 5 dice. So you get 2 additional dice on top of your 3. However, yeah, go ahead and roll that.
Wait, on top of my 3.
So your
So prowess
3
plus
for
2.
your prowess plus 2.
She's gonna run off the stage right after.
Okay, so with that 6, absolutely.
I knew it was a chance, guys. No one ever brings 1 bullet.
Oh shit!
I'm out.
I missed.
Okay, so
Dang it, Billy.
Hold on, guys. So the shot rings out. You duck. You successfully avoid any harm. But there are now shots kind of firing all around you as there are shots being thrown towards the back, towards the alderman. You're gonna try to roll off the stage or get off the stage at this point?
She is rolling off the stage and running into the crowd.
Okay, so the crowd is in panic, and it's going to be really difficult for you to get through it. So yes, you'll be able to get back towards that direction at some point, but it's going to take you a bit of time because there's now chaos in front of you.
She's going to wait for that reload.
Okay, so the reloads, so the timing between implies that the shots are being taken from different rifles. So they're shooting, dropping their rifle, shooting another rifle. You know that they can't keep that up for very long, so that they already appear to be desperate in that particular case. But the shots are coming fast and furious right now, and they are, as far as you can tell, coming from 3 sources.
Okay. She's going to yell out to the Stone Cloaks and to Steam, get him to safety. Go. I got this. She's just sitting behind the podium chilling.
You're sitting behind the podium?
She's like on the ground behind the podium, using it as like some semblance of cover, but like laying down.
Okay, because that's different than what you just said before, which is you were heading through the crowd.
Well, yeah, I ducked down and ran as I'm running.
Okay, all right.
That was before, so she... Okay.
Okay, awesome. So what is Steam doing?
Johnny, you said that there's a spotlight coming, that electroplasmic light coming from the right-hand side of the stage at an elevated position. Steam's going to throw a knife into it. Like, to shatter it, to make it stop working, to... Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Do I need to roll something for that, or am I good enough?
Oh, yeah. Because given that the type of technology this is and the how rudimentary it is, the lens on this thing is going to be pretty damn thick. Right? So if you've ever seen, the older lights, how they've got these really inch-thick glass lenses on the front of them. So yeah, go ahead and roll for that.
Sure. Okay. Position... risky or
shots are flying fast and furious at you. You're not directly protecting the alderman, and your backup, which is OC, is currently in the crowd heading towards. So I could see an argument for desperate.
I'll take desperate. I've never had
but
one.
I can also see an argument for it really comes down to, are you protecting yourself when this is happening, or are you just disregarding the shots and throwing the blade?
I'm actually, keeping myself relatively down.
Okay, then it's risky.
Okay. Standard, great.
The effect is going to be great because it's going to be a difficult thing to break. So if it happens, it's going to be because it's basically going to remove all the ambient light, and it's going to be really hard for anybody to be able to pick up or see anything at first because of the ambient light. It's so harsh that it's going to take time for anybody's eyes to adjust, including people that are shooting from a remote location.
Okay. Bonus dice.
Do you want to push yourself or take a devil's bargain?
Nope.
Does Bowerstone want to give him his other foresight?
Do you want my foresight?
It's up to you, brother. You might need it.
No, I have to give it to someone.
Okay.
I can't foresight myself.
I'll take it. Ka-chow! There we go.
All right. So your blade goes up and it just kind of whirls, and the handle on it is thick enough that it shatters the lens and destroys whatever filament it is, and the sparks fly. And so for a second, it's brighter than anything that the light source actually was, because it's just like this just shower of sparks just kind of going everywhere. But almost immediately, all of that begins to kind of fade as there is complete darkness on the stage right now, as the shots are continuing to fire. And for the first time, OC, because the light source is gone, and because the crowd is just starting to really kind of get out of your way, for the first time, you see how far off those shots are coming from. They're coming from the other side of the crow's nest, essentially from two carriages that have been positioned so that you're just able to see, and you can see that the sharpshooters are on top of these two carriages lying down. Right, so there's a carriage on this side, and you can see the 2 shots firing, and you see a third shot coming from the other side of the crow's nest, and they're angled in, and they're on top of the carriage at this point. Like they're laying down, just trying to be sharpshooters.
I would like to do a flashback.
Sure. What would you like to do?
I would like to have, if it's okay with Nyx, having the red sash contact. Have him have some of the, like, friends who are, like, people in that area just to be able to identify. Because it's straight ahead. I would want people, even if it's my girls, placed in the crowd straight back. Someone who could identify, pretty much. Because we got the sides covered, we had the soldiers, but we didn't have straight ahead covered. Could I flash back to having my girls stationed? Not near the carriage, but close enough to be able to maybe identify if there's a mark on it, or if they're wearing something, or, you know, not a face, but...
So they would not take any action, they would not interfere with it, they would just pay attention to what's going on?
I want to know who this fucker is, so I can kill him later.
You mean the 3 of them? Because there's 3 shooters
Any of
at
them.
this point.
Any of them.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. You can
torture people into telling on the other 2 people.
You can definitely do that.
Do you want me to roll courtesans?
If they're stationed back there, and this is a flashback, I'm not sure necessarily that they're not going to see these particular people move into position and do what they're going to do.
It's pretty obvious when you're setting up rifles in a wagon. Stopped.
Right.
Yeah.
So the only reason I asked to roll it could determine if they see any unique markings, or these blacked out carriages, or
right. But so rolling implies that there's there's an amount of failure, or there's a potential consequence or failure in this circumstance, and because they're not actively engaging, and they're just observing, they're going to have plenty of time to see those carriages pull up.
What about a fortune roll to see how much they see?
What I'm suggesting is that they're going to see everything because they would have enough time to, unless you want a fortune roll to determine if they get observed back, and then there could be consequences for that.
Just take everything.
I think my girls just chilling there isn't going to draw any suspicion. They're not going to be like, "Hey, who are the?" Like, they're not going to say anything. They just see it, they note it, and then they tell me later. So I'm okay with that. They're not going to do anything. They're not going to be, suspicious or whatever.
Okay, so do you want that crit to come into play here at all? Because that was just a crit donated.
I'm asking.
Ow! Sorry, that was loud.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll figure that out. Go ahead, keep going.
Okay. All right. So you're more than welcome to have a fortune roll to determine whether they get noticed, but the circumstances would be, it's not even a roll. You would just take 1 stress for the flashback. Because it's not a life or death. Well,
for me right now, it's not.
Yeah, and given what Steam just did, I don't think it's a life or death situation for Reymond anymore. So yeah, it's just going to be 1 stress.
I took it. Yep.
Okay, and so yes, you get a lot of details about who these particular people are. Would that have any bearing on the situation right now? Probably not, but you have an indicator of who it is moving forward. And so once the current conflict finishes, I'll detail all of that for you. Okay?
Yeah, she would probably jump off the stage then, and there are soldiers, I'm assuming 1 or 2 in front of the stage, at least 2, just in case there was like the crazy lady trying to get on the stage. Mm-hmm. So she would just stand with them and just say, no one goes on the stage. And just stand with them until it clears, and kind of stay down a little bit.
So before Steam threw the dagger and knocked out the light, the crowd was shaken, but they were not approaching the stage in any way, shape, or form, and they are scattering. So whatever is going on in this particular attack, they are not coming from the crowd. Nobody in the crowd is making their way towards you, which seems odd given the way that the previous event was working out and that there was people trying to approach from the crowd. So that would put you on edge as well.
Yep.
All right. So shots are still firing at this point, but you're starting to hear ricochets because the shots are going wild. And you can see where the shots are coming from. But as the crowd begins to disperse, the shots are getting even more wild and kind of crazy and coming fewer and far between. This gives you a moment to determine what you're going to do next here, right? It's clear that the attack is not working and that there's something happening that's changing. What is Steam or Reymond or OC or Nyx doing at this point?
Where am I being ushered to?
You're still on stage, being slowly dragged off, kind of on your belly, or by the Stonecloaks to be dragged off to safety. But they're keeping as low profile as possible.
He's going to order the Stonecloaks to go sort them out.
And Nyx is immediately going to stop.
Nyx,
in fact,
have got this.
Nyx kicks open a manhole cover nearby, off the stage, like towards the crow's nest. And begins shoving you towards it, Bowerstone. He turns to the Stonecloaks and says, "All of you, form ranks, move to Gallows Respite. You, get in the hole." And he reaches in and throws you one of the Undercity blueprints that we have that will lead you back to fucking wherever the hell you want to go.
You should resist. It would be funny.
He's pushing you towards it. You can stop him and you can move. He's just shoving you towards the hole.
I would like to do a flashback.
Okay. Sure. What would you like to do for that flashback?
I have my bow bomb gear underneath the stage.
Okay, so you're allowing them to push you off the stage, and then you're going to go get changed into the stage in front of everybody else?
So I'm going to say, Nyx, if you want to have a flashback, you and I planned in the event that it goes to hell, that we have an escape route. If you wanted that. And
we have escape routes all over the city, so we don't have to do a flashback for that.
We know we have the underground. Crow's Foot, we have, what was it, that maze?
We have maps of the underground of the entire city.
Yeah. So,
just put your gear at the bottom of the ladder by the sub manhole cover.
And I'm gonna close the manhole cover and get changed.
Okay.
And the Stonecloaks are forming ranks and walking as if they're still guarding him towards Gallows Respite, as if they're covering an alderman.
So it's as the crowd begins to start to disperse and things as people's eyes begin to adjust, that you hear the carriages in the distance begin to make way and kind of speedily kind of head out, and they're heading in this general direction. Because the stage was on this side. All right, let me not move that. It was on this side. They're heading away. They're making an escape.
The people or the shooters?
The shooters on the carriages. And what OC's girls are going to see, or what OC's courtesans are going to see at that point, are the moment that they realize that they're out of shots and they're incapable of continuing whatever it is that they're planning to do, they are going to jump onto their, to the driver's seats of their carriages, because their goats were well trained to hang out through gunfire and immediately try to make an escape. Now, OC's girls courtesans would also see what direction they were headed at this point. But unless she explicitly ordered them to follow anybody, they would opt for their safety and just kind of note the direction that they were headed and note everything else that was going on that side of the...
She doesn't want them injured, so she just wants a full description so she can deal with those people later.
Okay. All right.
She also gave a reward for any information, so if other people have anything else, maybe someone will come forward.
Okay.
Just covering her bases.
All right, so Bowerstone is now changing under in the sewers. You've got Nyx, who's basically standing on top of that. You've got Steam, who is just kind of making sure that the stage is clear, as I assume that the Stonecloaks are safe.
Right, yeah, he takes a brief run through the sparks, a la Roy Hobbs from The Natural, just because he's always wanted to do that. No, yeah, he's making sure.
You and I really are the same age, aren't you?
Because
You
Greg's
are?
really wanted to
Fucking
do that.
motherfucker.
Always a flair for the dramatic.
And so OC is standing in front, just kind of keeping a guarded, watchful eye at front. It's clear that the assault has stopped at this point, and that the speech was complete, but that the sentiment among the crowd is: do you want to pursue these individuals, or do you want it to end the score there?
Man.
So are there
I
still
will.
people? Are there still people there?
The crowds are trying to escape and disperse as quickly as possible because they do not want to get shot. It was obvious. It will be obvious to you later, and I'll just tell you this now, that whoever the shooters were working really hard to aim for anybody on stage and not to hit anybody in the crowd.
Okay.
So that will be obvious based on the description of the type of weapons, the long rifles that were being used, and the precautions that were being taken, because your courtesans at least hear the one discussion between the two that were on the one carriage on the right-hand side, that they were talking about the best way that they can make sure that they don't get any unintended victims.
Do they have an accent?
Did they have an accent? No, they did not. They did not specifically have an Eruvian accent or a Skullgland accent.
Okay.
They would be, if identified, they would be identified as residents of Doskvol.
How fast were they moving away?
They got on their goats and started moving away. So, from what you heard, is that the wheels rolling against the cobblestones were making quite a loud racket.
Okay, but there's people all around, and
So the people were starting to run that direction, but yes, they would still have some ability to move quickly. They were not completely surrounded by that point, but you could pursue. There's enough of a. There is enough. They would be slowed down enough that you could attempt pursuit.
Okay. So, throwing Bowerstone down the hole, sliding a man cover back over him, seeing steam shower in sparks. He slow motion runs through sparks. Steam. He looks to Steam and sort of sighs and cracks his neck, and then he just looks at him and says, "Well, this was quite inconvenient. I guess take care of him." And he motions towards the hole. And I am going to activate the Devil's Footsteps, and with a superhuman burst of speed, I am going to chase down these caravans.
Can I see this from where I am, since he's running straight in front of me past the stage?
If it looks like so let me just pull out some lines here. If the caravans are going in a this way motion, he's like cutting through building alleys in whatever way to cross them off as quickly as he possibly can, because he's one man and can weave through buildings and people easier than they can. I assume they kind of
go get him.
I assume they kind of have to stick to the main roads, so he's taking whatever alley that he can find, having maps of the city and knowing Crowsfoot fairly well to try to head these guys off.
So, using the Devil's Footsteps implies that you can, in doing that feat of strength, that there is some action that you're going to associate this with and get into bonus for that roll. There's a mechanical element to it. What mechanical element are you going to engage to do that?
I don't know. Like, there's no run. So it's not a matter of running. It's a matter of you are physically going to execute this, but how are you going to make sure that you stay on top of them? Because this, in a lot of ways, seems like a prowl or a hunt, which you have no pips in either. Yeah.
So my suggestion is that, given the narrative fun of all of this, we make it a fortune roll. And in making it a fortune roll, you get your first die for luck. You get your second bonus die specifically for the Devil's Footsteps that can't be removed. And we have a conversation about any other bonus dice that might come in and how those might get removed real quick.
Okay.
If I saw which way they went, because I'm staring at them, can I point as he's running, like there and then there, just do that, so he gets a head start on
You
where?
could point the general direction, but I think that your girls noticing that Nyx is coming up, or your would be a much more that makes more sense to me, that they would see, in seeing Nyx doing what he's doing, go that direction or pointing that way. So it's
I'll
essentially
point to
the
them
same.
and they'll point to him.
So would that count
Right,
as
so
an
it's-
assist, Mosi?
It would count as an assist, but in this particular case, we're talking about die that are going into your fortune roll.
Mhm.
So it's an additional die in your direction that I'm not going to remove because it makes complete sense.
Okay.
Is there anything else positive-wise that applies here besides love? Fuck
Yeah,
you.
no, I don't.
knew you were thinking about it, Greg. I knew you were thinking
so-
about it.
What about hate?
So the fact that they are essentially, if they're on goats and carriages, they're basically confined to the roads, whereas I can cut through alleys, weave through crowds. So I'd say that's one. Maneuverability would be one.
Maneuverability.
Knowing
Okay,
the
so
terrain?
What's that?
You knowing the place, the terrain.
That was going to be my
Background
second
is-
one. Is we've operated out of Crowsfoot for weeks, if not months now. I think I have a pretty good handle on the place. Plus, I often go out with the homeless to do stuff. Plus, we walked through all of Crowsfoot to talk to the Lamp Blacks, the Red Sashes, and the Crows when we were originally doing stuff. And I scouted for locations with Bowerstone for the warehouse.
okay, so that sounds like 5 dice in your favor.
Sounds like it, unless anyone has any other bumps.
Season finale special.
So, what do you got negatives, Johnny?
Well, can anybody else think of any negatives before I suggest one? Because there's only one that I can think of.
Can you outrun a goat?
With that ability, I probably can.
Oh, sweet.
You
then.
can outrun a goat with that ability.
They know the terrain just as well. They know the roads just as well. They planned this, you know. That's
It's
the only
also-
thing I can think of.
They're in carriages that clog with foot traffic. I think that's a push with that.
Well, so the one that I was going to suggest actually plays into what OC is suggesting, which is you don't know whether they planned for this or not. So you don't know how well that they have planned for a situation where they were going to be chased. And remember, folks in Doskvol are completely aware that people can do feats of superhuman
Mhm.
ability because of the weird circumstances that people see for every day. So it's at least possible that whoever organized this particular assassination attempt planned for this.
Okay. Yeah, so then I'll bump that down from 5 to 4.
Okay. And that's all that I have. So why don't you go ahead and roll that, and let's see how you end up.
Don't do what I did. Don't cock it up.
I didn't.
2 5s.
So 2 5s. Describe what it looks like from Nick's going from 0 to Devil's Footsteps, and then I will take over from there and describe what happens as you catch up to them.
Man, yeah, so he cracks his neck, looks to Steam and says, well, take care of him, I guess. And he just sort of leaps off the stage, but goes much further than he intends to and just hits the ground running. And, like, OC would see him at the last second, like, as he lands, and then just begins, like, zipping between people, making his way towards one of the buildings. And she would basically have just enough time to, like, point to the girls and point to where he is before he's in between some building.
So you round the corner on the crow's nest as you get towards the back, remembering what OC, almost in sort of like, what's the name of that fucking movie? What's the movie where it's an animated film where the squirrel talks really fast and then takes that last hit of caffeine? No.
It was over the hedge.
It's over the hedge.
It's over the hedge. That's correct. Because at that point, it goes from being super fast to everything being super slow. And Nyx is just kind of walking through, and everything's moving really, really infinitesimally slow. And you look over, and you see the courtesans pointing in the direction as you kind of do that. And you realize that the street that they're going on is going to be really crowded if there are people heading that direction, because it's a really narrow street. And you remember that there's a series of stairs that you can just run up and start to run along the building tops. So what does it look like as Nyx is running from building top to building top in pursuit?
Awesome.
I'm looking for a little bit more of a narrative description of what it looks like when Nyx starts pulling a Neo.
Yeah, I mean, as long as he's able to get down safely, or else I wouldn't be on the fucking roofs. But yeah, he is, I assume, so in Crowsfoot isn't one of the richer parts of town. There is quite a bit of homeless population, and if the roofs are easily accessible, there's likely to be like boards that cross over close ones, so that the homeless that live on top of these high rises, as they call them, they can easily get through and have like basically a community. And he is familiar with these because of his network of people throughout the city. And he's basically running across these boards and leaping from low to high, chimney to chimney towards these two carriages, aiming for the first carriage.
Okay, so you were able to actually get ahead of them because the street that they chose was actually a bit clogged.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're able to get ahead and kind of eye them as they're moving through. And you see that there is one carriage in front with a goat that's trying to navigate through the traffic with two individuals on it. And that there is a second moving behind it that has one individual driving. But it is at that moment, as you basically get ahead of them and you look, you see that across the way from you on the other side, there is someone watching you watch them. And that person is starting to raise a rifle.
Okay. How high up am I on this building?
I'm going to assume it's a 2-story building. So
Okay.
not your, maybe 20, 25 feet.
Okay. And how far away is the carriage? The first carriage has two people on it, right?
Yeah, it's probably about good 40 or 50 feet away from you.
Okay. So at that height, 40, 50 feet away? There's no way. Well, I guess
And
at
the
that height
carriage-
with my speed, can I jump to that carriage?
So how long do you think the Devil's Footstep actually lasts? Let's have that conversation real quick. Because like we talked with one of Steam's abilities, there was a certain amount of duration that played into it. If we want to talk about the fortune roll being the determiner of that as well, that gives me a general idea.
So we could do that. This says you perform an athletic feat. The feat is catching up to these guys. So in
That
my
is
opinion,
correct.
I haven't caught up yet until I'm at them. They are still 40 feet away.
Right? Okay.
Or you can go with fortune roll, whichever one you like better.
So if you want to define it as the superhuman feat of catching up to them, you actually are in front of them at this point, right? So arguably you've surpassed them and you now have the advantage because you can make that call.
Okay.
If you want to call it that you actually reaching them as the superhuman feat, then that I'm okay with that too. But the consequence is still coming into play about that person aiming that rifle at you as you whatever you decide to do to reach them.
Yeah, he's not super concerned with the guy shooting at him. He's more concerned with these two guys on top of this carriage. So
Okay.
his end goal is to get on that carriage.
All right. So
As this person is lifting up that rifle.
That's fine.
No, but there will be a figure that appears behind him with blade and
Explain to
shoving
me-
him off.
explain to me how that works.
So with this, I'd like to introduce you to the new barrel bomb. As trained by his mentor, Steam,
Mm-hmm.
he appears out of the ghost veil.
Okay. Again, explain it all to me.
So as when he was down getting prepared and ready, and he saw him duck off,
Mm-hmm.
there was no more him sitting around and being a puppet. It was time for him to get involved. And he was going to bring justice to whoever just tried to kill him. So he followed Nyx, slipping into the ghost field, and using 3 pips, which was entering into it and flying like a ghost. He followed him, and seeing the man raise his rifle while Nyx jumped, he went and saved Nyx.
Okay. So I want you to. So you're going to essentially enter the ghost veil or the ghost field using the ghost veil. You're going to get there behind him, and you're going to push the guy off. Does that mean
yeah.
that you're becoming corporeal again?
Yes.
Okay. So Nyx's consequence still applies in this particular situation. But you are able to take that particular person out as they go falling to the ground. Nyx, describe to me what you do next.
Okay. So if Nyx he's able to leap onto this carriage here.
I don't know. Are you able to leap onto this carriage? I mean, that I was basically leaving that decision up to you.
Yeah. I mean, with I would say with a 5, especially if I'm ignoring this guy shooting at me, I'll take the bullet to be able to jump on this carriage, more or less, is what I'm going for.
Okay.
Cool.
All right. Well, so the bullet's not going to come because Reymond just took out.
Right, but Nix doesn't know that until that happens. Like, who fucking
Well, you
knows that?
but so you saw you were essentially you saw that person raising their rifle. You looked down. You're ready to take the bullet. You
Yep.
saw the body start to fall.
Okay.
So I get to ask this question now because you guys want to try to surprise me with all this shit. Where's Steam?
Oh.
Where is Steam?
Honest to Christ, I'm back there with OC, just hanging out.
I tell him.
That.
No.
What's going on?
Nix
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Yeah, Steam walks up to OC and he says, "If that had been my sister, Bowerstone would be dead now."
And then she tells you about your sister.
Steam, I went to the barge. Your sister left you a note. On the barge.
She
She's
does not
going
need
home.
notes. What?
She's going home. I wanted to investigate first and see if I could find her
When
for
did you
you.
know this? When were you
Yesterday.
on the barge?
Yesterday. I know where she is. Do you want me to tell you?
You learned this when?
Where she was today. I found her for you.
He grabs OC. Are you gonna let him do that?
Yeah. She's a god. He's not going to kill her.
He powers her back to the edge of the stage.
She's not on the stage.
That's what I mean.
Oh.
Like the edge, the elevated edge of the stage. And he slams her up against the back of it. When did you know about this?
Yesterday.
And you kept this from me, why?
Because I found her in that time.
You kept this from me, why?
Because you wouldn't be here if you knew this.
Oh, see if she is in trouble, we will have a reckoning. Where is she?
Are you going to go now?
Where is she? It isn't a question you can answer with a question.
She's at the Golden Garter.
He drops her and leaves.
Crimson Garter.
Crimson Garter.
He drops her and leaves.
Leaves for where?
The Crimson Garter. Go back to them, because that would be...
I have one final question before we leave that particular scene. OC, did you tell him anything about the circumstances of the Crimson Garter?
I tried to. He wouldn't let me.
Okay.
She would still be speaking. She would still be
I-
speaking while he left. So if he hears her, that's one thing. Because I'm sure he's running, but like you could still hear someone if they're talking. So that's
Okay.
up to him how far away he's running while I'm giving him details.
Okay.
To be honest,
Excellent.
Steam's... He's
Out of control.
already there, yep.
Okay.
Now, cutting back to
then I
the
won't tell
situation.
you.
The new Bowerstone. Please describe to me what the new Bowerstone looks like and has on his person.
So essentially the same. It's
So essentially, he's still
Yeah.
a bottom.
He's just like the old
Yeah.
Bowerstone.
yeah, but this time a little more grey in color than black.
Okay.
Yeah, sort of a grey matching the stone cloaks.
So it's still the same basic leather outfit.
Yeah.
With the same things on you.
Yeah. No armor though, so it's probably even lighter.
Okay. So, Nix, what are you doing now? You're jumping down to this thing, right? And then we decided that was a part of this, correct?
Yeah. So the carriage is still moving forward, right, at full goat speed.
Well, no, it's moving, trying to move through the crowd. So yeah, you have plenty of time to.
Oh, so it's not moving at full speed. Okay.
Yeah.
That slightly changes things. Can it
Okay,
move at full speed? Okay, cool.
There could be a pocket where they get an opportunity to kind of make their way, but if they get to full speed, they're going to turn one of these corners and you're going to lose them potentially.
So
Okay.
okay, so if they're coming at at Nyx, right?
Yeah, they're coming down this lane basically towards you.
Okay.
And like I said, you got in front of them, right? You're on a corner.
Yes.
Essentially, if I'm looking at the map right here, you're at this location right here.
Sure. So if they're coming towards Nyx and they're gaining speed, that we can agree on. So as they're about to make that turn, Nyx leaps and finds the window he needs, looks to the camera and apologizes to Louise, and activates this ability, tackling the goat, flipping the carriage.
It's okay,
Season finale, baby.
Really?
It literally says tackle a galloping horse in the description. I was just gonna kill the guy, but tackling a horse and flipping the carriage over seemed way cooler.
That is the greatest ability I have ever seen.
I kill people all the time, but tackling a horse—that's a new story.
This is not a horse.
It's
This
a
is
goat.
It's a 10-foot tall goat.
Tackle that shit.
I need you to describe to me in great detail what it's like when Nyx tackles a goat and flips a carriage.
So what happened was, and the reason I apologized to Louise is because he sees this guy raise a rifle, he turns, whatever Bowerstone does is fine, he reaches both hands behind his back, pulling out both of his unusual weapons, and leaps towards this goat, and hooks it in its 10-foot high neck, and drags it to the ground.
Blood spewing. As the momentum stops, the carriage just kind of goes and flips off to the side because the goat's body just basically drops.
Yeah,
and a 10-foot tall, right? A 10-foot tall goat is basically like a 2-ton animal, right? And so those two guys just start rolling. As you hear that there's a fair amount of like screaming around you because there's still a little bit of a crowd running in that direction, and now they're starting to scatter as the carriage behind is starting to slow, but it's having problems because it was also gaining momentum. So it then kind of crashes into the body of the goat because the goat can't slow down fast enough. It jumps, but it takes the carriage with it, and so it lands on the other side and slams, and that guy begins to tumble too. As there are now there is one goat that's starting to run away, another that's bleeding out under you or over, next to you, as you're kind of getting out, kind of pulling yourself up, getting ready to go after. As the one carriage is on its side and the other one is shattered. Reymond, looking down, kind of shaking his head after killing this particular person, hears a giggle and then feels a knife in his back. Resist.
It's that one-handed bitch.
If Steam hadn't fucking overreacted, he could be there to cut off her other hand.
Skirmish? Skirmish?
No,
Yeah,
this is a prowl. This is a
Oh,
resist.
Oh, not prowl. It's
Prowess.
prowess.
Prowess, whatever. Do you have anything to help you resist this?
I mean,
Your armor.
no, I took it off. Light
You took it
armor.
off.
Oh, you're
Yeah.
fucked then.
So this is going to be level 2 harm immediately, right? So if you resist
Yeah.
this,
So what I roll
it's
again
gonna
for
be
that, sorry? It's You say
literally click
prowl?
the prowess button.
You literally click the prowess button.
oh, there it is. There's pop it up.
You didn't want to take a devil's bargain or anything else to go along with it?
No.
Okay.
So
Well,
I'll take that 4.
you take level 1 harm, which means cuts, and she essentially just kind of sliced you up in the back a little bit and you're just kind of angling out, but you're not able to completely get away from harm. So now everything is a negative in position because you have level 1 harm and she's cutting. You are now able to react to her as you kind of see her behind you, as you're kind of like angling away. There she is behind you. How are you reacting?
Does she have one hand?
That you can see, but there's actually something on her
Specifically,
other
what's her
hand.
stance? What's her stance? Because based on her stance is based on how I'm going to react. Is her
She's in a-
stance like
she's a-
got a hand
she's in a,
out?
no,
or-
she's in a defensive stance, but she also got you with surprise, and so she attacked you. She's ready for your next attack. And as you're kind of looking around, you see that on her other hand is actually a hook.
She's Captain Hook.
I'm wondering if I just drop down with my grapple hook.
She's a little poser, man. A hook and ghost field. Come on.
I might do that for safety.
Okay, so what are you doing specifically?
So he's got his retractable grapple hook. He's going to drop it down and attach it on the side.
Al donates a crit to Slade
Oh,
and says, Slade, do it.
In that case,
in that case,
Yell, get
What
a
do you
grip
do?
when you throw her off.
with that,
What are you doing to
yeah,
her?
With that crit, he's going to turn around and just shake his head. And from what he once was as a fighter, this time he's purposely trying to just go at her, grab her, and chuck her off the building.
Okay, so interesting thing about this character, you guys have encountered this one before. She has a progress clock. So the crit removes that progress clock. But she is still able to not be thrown. You've gotten through her defenses. So now she's vulnerable, right?
Mhm.
But she had a 4-segment progress clock, which is her defensive abilities, right? So you just remove that from the crit. So you kind of come in and you start to, push the momentum, and she's now caught off balance as she is now vulnerable, or now she's now, in a state where she's really defending herself. So there's no longer a progress clock that you're going to run into. That just blew it all away, right? So the next attack, depending upon how you throw it, means that she is going to definitely either go down or fall off the building or whatever. But she is on the defensive. But because she's on the defensive and also a skilled character, she's going to go all at it. And she just starts swinging the blade and the hook. And so she just grabs you and kind of rends you, kind of hooks you with her thing, going for your shoulder. Again, another level 2 harm. You going to resist it?
Yeah, I will.
Okay. So please do that.
5.
Okay. So what is your stress currently at right now? Because you resisted
My
with 4
stress
and 5. So
yeah,
that's
my
3 stress.
is actually at... What's that? I got 1 bit left.
You have 1 stress left.
Yeah.
Ooh. Okay.
Guys, it's going to be fun.
2 trauma.
2 trauma, and the first trauma hasn't really come into play yet.
No, it hasn't.
Okay.
No one spoke
So-
about his dead parents.
Now,
You better shut
gonna-
him out.
I'm going to remind everyone at the table of what they have. I forgot to post these perks before. Here are the perks.
Oh, I'm sorry, I've got 2 left. Sorry. I got
You've
2
got
left.
2 left.
Sorry.
Here are the perks, right? Those are the perks that are outstanding. This is the end of the season. Nyx and Steam need to use those perks at some point if they want them to matter. You can also hand them to Reymond. Reymond, she's hooked you, and again, because you resisted, it's now still another level 1 harm,
Okay.
where you've got gashes on your shoulder. The next time that she hooks you, even for a level 1 harm, like even you resist, it's going to go to level 2 or worse.
Okay. Where did you post that? Because no one...
All right, sorry, I sent that to Ginge privately.
Oh.
There we go. Right. Yeah, it's her fault. She kept messaging me.
One message.
All right.
Okay. So I trust it's my turn.
She just hooked you and scraped you, and so she's now still on the defensive. What are you doing here?
Anybody want to share a crit?
Now, if you fill the bar, is it if you fill the bar or once it goes out of the bar that it's...
Once you fill the bar, you drop out of the current scene.
Okay. Fuck.
And-
I can't use any special abilities.
So you just get the special ability. Al donated a crit to Slade.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, ow. I love you. Reymond thanks you. Thank you for your vote. You give me Crow's Foot a safe place.
vote for
Okay.
Bowerstone.
So that's on the table now. You now have that crit. What are you doing?
So with that crit, I'm guessing they're quite on the edge of.
I don't know how you didn't really describe when you attacked her. You were going to throw the roof.
When I was there, I sort of like pushed him off and sort of standing on the edge there, looking down. It's the goat catastrophe before him, and then the knife. So he's going to turn around.
Mm-hmm.
And I also have a position, so I'm going to use that as well.
Okay.
And with her there, he's going to grab her, and his grip is around her jaw.
Okay.
As he just lifts her and just upchucks her into the air, sending her into the streets.
All right. So that's perfectly capable of happening. I would have said that was a desperate move because it's a feat of strength that for you to grab her, pick her up, and throw her.
Am I able to use one of my positions?
But you're going to use your position, so it now becomes risky. So you've got more control over this situation.
Yeah.
It wasn't a desperate roll.
Am I able to use both of them?
I would suggest that you hold on to that.
Okay.
So you're now at a risky position. What are you rolling for this specifically, though?
What I'm going to roll for this?
What action are you rolling?
Can I give him my crit?
I think he has one from Al right now.
Yeah, I'm going to use it now.
He's using it now, yes. But I need a little bit of information about the position and I need to know what action he's taking.
Enjoy.
You're going to use rack. Okay.
Rack.
Okay, so it's you're critting this. Actually, here's what I would suggest. Roll it first, and if you don't like what the roll, then use your crit. That's going to be my suggestion.
Controlled yet?
No, risky. Remember, it went from desperate to risky. The effect is going to be great, though.
I've got a 1 on Rex, so yeah, I'll use that crit.
Yeah. Using that crit, you throw her, she goes off. Ultimately, your desire was to throw her and have her just
splat
to the ground. And she vanishes halfway down. So you successfully get her off, but she disappears. And now she is out of your sight. Cutting back to Nyx. You've got 3 guys on the ground. What are you doing?
Yeah. Nyx has had a rough week. A lot of people aren't doing what they've been told. Someone tried to kill his puppet. It's been an annoying several days. What's the proximity of these 3 people?
Oh, they're kind of scattered on the ground, slowly beginning to get up or trying to get up, but some of them are clearly injured.
Okay. Can I identify the most injured one? Like, easily?
Absolutely.
Okay. So
it'll be the 2 that were on the goat that you just basically slammed and they ended up rolling.
Okay, so the other guy is trying to get away? The one
he's trying to get up, but he's dazed. Yeah, he's dazed. He was knocked off, right? And he landed hard, but he was dazed. He did not do the whole barrel roll and really take bad injuries. Both of those guys on that first goat that you took down definitely have something broken, either an arm or a leg.
Sure. Nyx is angry, and he hasn't relieved stress in a long time, because he hasn't really been stressed out until real recently. He stands, cracks the other side of his neck, is spending his crit as he takes his bloodied goat hook and hooks right under the rib cage of one of the guys on the ground, grabs him by his collar, and throws him at the man standing, who's about to stand up, to pin him to the ground.
Gross. Okay, so that happens. The man crumples under the weight of the other body as the first one that you threw screams out in pain when you hook him, and then immediately loses the ability to make any more noise because his guts are starting to flow out and blood is just starting to flow everywhere because you nicked an artery. He's bleeding over the second guy. There is a third one still just kind of laying there, trying to figure out what's wrong with him and trying to get up and get away, like but he's got clearly something broken. We're going to call it his leg.
Nick sort of sweeps his hair back to the side and looks down at him and says, "Now, I've said it before several times this week. Everything goes easier when you just do what I say. Now, are you going to try to run like your friends, or would you like to have a nice chat?" And he sort of plays with the blade.
He says, I'm assuming because he's kind of on his side, and you roll him over to be able to look into his eyes, right?
Mm-hmm.
He tries to spit at you, fails horribly, and it just kind of, this spittle is just kind of like collecting inside of his beard below him. And he says, "You can go to hell."
I'll roll for this, but I just drive the knife into his chin.
You're going to be able to do just that.
Yeah, so he just sort of up into the roof of his mouth, pulls it out, and then goes over to the guy who's pinned underneath the corpse.
Okay.
The same question. "Now, I've killed your friends and most of your carriages, and I believe my friend also killed your sharpshooter. Would you like to have words, or would you like to die a painful death?"
The guy is trying to struggle, but he can't breathe, and just is trying to unearth himself from the thing. So he can barely even coherently talk to you at this point because he's having trouble breathing, because the guy's body is literally on top of him, and you're kind of keeping him held and pinned, I'm assuming.
Yeah,
and
like
so,
he puts like a foot on the bleeding out corpse guy.
Right, so it's impossible for him to catch his breath and actually kind of... And he's trying to push, and he just can't seem to get... He's struggling.
A simple nod, yes, will do. Or no, whatever your choice.
And he continues to push just for another second or two until he realizes that he's not going to get out of this situation, and he nods.
Does he nod yes or no?
Yeah, he nods yes.
Okay. How far are we from the stage?
Oh, you're a good quarter mile now.
Okay, that's an inconvenient amount of space to drag a person. How close are we to the nearest manhole?
Pretty damn close.
Okay. Nick sort of kicks the body of the gutted guy off of him. Actually, he leaves the body on, rips open the manhole cover, kicks the body off, and then grabs his hook and grabs it right into the guy's shoulder and drags him like a piece of meat towards the manhole and slides him down it.
You hear a crack as the guy lands.
That's fine.
Breaking one of his legs.
That's fine. He doesn't need that.
And as you're looking up to see what's going on above you, because you hear a bit of a commotion, you see Reymond throwing some young woman off, and halfway down she disappears.
He looks up and says, "Oh, I thought they caught the vigilante." As he closes the manhole cover.
And Reymond, you were there for a minute or two more, and she does not reappear.
Thankful. I'm going to go down the manhole cover, because I'm not getting pinned for this shit that's happened out here.
Okay. So you go down the manhole cover, you find Nick's doing what?
Oh, the same manhole cover I'm down?
I assume so.
You would, I assume, follow a trail of blood and scraped muck as you would eventually catch up to Nyx, who is dragging this guy, no longer by the hook, but is dragging this guy through the sewers. I'm not sure what's closer, Johnny, the gallows respite or the crow's nest. But he's dragging to him in the direction of whichever one is closer.
The nest would be closer.
Okay, he's dragging him that way.
Okay, and is that the end of that element of this, or do you want to do that, that interrogation as a part of the scar?
Man, I don't know. I think we can do that as part of the score, but if anyone else is doing anything, they can take the spotlight for a minute if they want to.
Well, so Reymond has followed you down the hole, so that he's definitely tied up to whatever you're doing. It sounds like Steam has fucked off towards Soakshore at an angry pace. So that leaves OC. Does OC have anything else that she would like to do before this?
Does it have to be as part of the score?
Well, if we're going to call it scene, at the end of the score, then there's going to be a scene at the end of the score. I think that the end is going to be Nyx interrogating this guy. So is there anything else that you want to do in support of the score?
In the score, no.
Okay. All right. So what does that mean? Where does OC end up? Does she just kind of...
She's at the Dimmer Sisters. She's heading there.
Oh, okay. That's not what I was trying to say.
That's where she would leave. She would, as soon as Steam left her, she's like, well, I have things to do, and would head there, so nothing else.
All right. Fair enough. All right. So we're going to cut back to Nyx and Bowerstone currently dragging this particular individual back to the crow's nest. What does that look like?
Several grunts, a few chiding remarks about Bowerstone's outfit, and eventually, once he gets to one of those central sewer hubs where a bunch of the channels connect, that's where he would stop and kind of splay this body out underneath here to begin interrogating. And everyone who was around in season 1 knows how Nyx interrogates people. Bowerstone didn't get to watch it, and OC's no longer.
This is my first time.
Yeah. So now that this guy has a broken leg, a puncture in his shoulder, and is kind of splayed out in the central hub of this sewer, Nyx immediately kicks him in the face, breaking his nose. And then he squats down on his chest and grabs his hand and puts the knife, like he's peeling an apple, to one of his hands and says to one of his fingers and says, "Now then, you were hired, I assume, to kill the alderman. I need to know by whom and why and how easily I can kill them. Begin."
Are you going to kill me?
And as soon as he says that, he nicks the pinky off and then moves to his ring finger. That was not.
Are you going to kill me?
Oh, confident are we? And he nicks the other finger off. Now then, I asked you 3 questions. You're running out of digits.
Are you going to kill me?
Whew. You are adamant about this one question. Do you want to die?
No.
Well,
but
then,
I know what it means when I die.
Well, then answer my questions and you live with whatever parts you have left. I suggest you speak quickly. Blood is running out of you. Balmor? The captain of White Crown.
And as you're kind of holding onto his hand, he's just he's able to kind of shrug a little bit, and the heavy jacket that he's wearing kind of peels back and reveals a blue coat crest pin on his chest, and you can see that it is the crest, or the essentially the district of Brightstone indicated on the little pen, representing that he is a blue coat.
I'm going to walk over there and crouch down and pluck it from him.
You're a blue coat?
Yeah?
Nyx takes both of the blue coat's hands and sort of places them on his chest, and has one hand on his holding his hands down, and looks to Bowerstone and says, "Now, I'm going to say something to you right now, and if you repeat it, I will kill you. In fact, but I was wrong." And he looks back down to the blue coat, and he flicks the knife around and stabs him in the forehead and says, "I am going to kill you." As he plunges the blade into the head of this cop.
And there is a little bit of a shock, and the eyes go dull very quickly.
Well, it's been a day. I suggest we clean up.
This will be dealt with.
Well, yes, now I have to kill this council member.
And all of his blue coats with him.
Inconvenient. What have you done?
Did you see the crowd?
Yeah,
They didn't want to change.
They didn't like you at all.
They didn't want to change. I know what's best. I know what's right.
and my vision will come true. Him, her. This is a start.
I have uses for her yet. Let's focus on him. And he begins to stand over the corpse and, like, pull the dagger out.
So, as you pull the dagger out, something really peculiar begins to happen to Nyx.
Oh.
Recently, you had trained with Hocus to learn how to attune and not tear the ghost field.
Mm-hmm.
Had a little bit of a side effect.
It did.
Faint in the distance, you hear the toning of a bell. And that's where we're going to end the score.
Sweet.
Okay, so we'll do payoff, heat, entanglements, all that, you know, and we can do downtime stuff. So we'll do all the benefits of this, plus XP and everything else off screen. The only thing that we will talk about is that downtime will begin the next episode. And we're going to cut directly into 2 lingering plot threads about where people end up. The first we're going to start with is Steam. Where does Steam end up?
Outside of the Crimson Garter.
All right. So you get the description generally same of what you see going on based on what I described to OC when her courtesans found this out. What you see with your particular talents is a number of additional elements to this circumstance that the courtesans couldn't have seen and that OC could have seen had she attuned if she was there. You see that there is some sort of arcane protection around the entire building. That with the doors closed, that arcane protection is incredibly strong and requires somebody to break it, as in opening the door. There are a number of guards around the entire building, placed at entry and exit points, but none of those entry points are open. So the moment that you're able to kind of, you know, get a higher angle on the building or, you know, kind of look around, you see that the entire surface of this particular structure is encapsulated, except for a balcony on the 3rd floor. But people are being ushered in from that balcony on the 3rd floor into the room as some event is, you know, something is being indicated as starting, and you hear some sort of random little bit of this. And those doors are you know, going to be closed. It's obvious that there are 2 guards at each of those doors that are going to close once that balcony is clear. Can't hear you.
You're asking me what I want to do here?
I'm asking you what you're going to do, what you think you're going to do next.
Can Steam see Slang?
You can't see anybody inside. You can only see that there are people being ushered inside and that there's a large crowd of people in whatever room they're being ushered into.
Okay, can we end it? Obviously, there's elements from somebody else's story that I'm not going to step on here, and I don't want to do that at all.
You're not going to step on them. I just want to know what Steam's intention is doing. And do it.
If Steam knows she's inside that building, and his thought would be, this looks like a way he's going to jump for the balcony.
So as you're beginning to make the attempt, you hear a voice from behind you. That would be a mistake.
He turns.
You see a figure about 6 foot tall, wearing some sort of floppy hat and a long overcoat, like a docker's coat. It's an old man, probably in his 60s. And he looks at you kind of strangely, but he's very matter-of-fact in his manner. I really don't think you want to do that.
What's he look like in the field?
He is radiating
Color?
white.
Or just like Chaos?
Not like Chaos, because Chaos in the field,
Has gold to him, right? Or something?
he has this cover of white on him, but it's muted. It's like it's a dull kind of a white. This is ultimately radiating white, like brilliant, bright white.
Does this have any vague similarities to the slivers of divinity that he sees in OC and Slang?
No, because the slivers of divinity that you see in them is a different color than white. Because it's tempered by their demon blood.
And who are you?
That will come in good time. But I don't suggest that you step in there. Chaos has the advantage.
He also has my sister.
She's not quite all your sister, though.
She's enough.
Kind of shakes his head, a little bit, kind of acknowledging that there's truth in what you're saying. You go in there, though. You won't come out.
If I go in there, she might.
Kind of shakes his head, pulls off his hat, kind of starts to play with the brim. He looks down at it a little bit. You can see that he's got a patch of baldness that starts from his forehead and goes back, and so he's got essentially a ring of hair. And you can see that the hair is neatly braided towards the back. That may be true. But then you'll never know the answers that you really seek.
Explain yourself, old man. I don't have time for this.
Really? Waves his hands like this, hat in one. Now you have all the time in the world. The noise around you has stopped. The commotion on the street has stopped. In mid-fight, you see a gull flying in air. Paused there.
What are you?
Well, there's a fair bit of discussion about that. But I think what's more important is, what are you?
I'm a brother.
But clearly not a god.
Not yet.
That still remains to be seen. And he kind of puts his hat in a particular way and puts it back on his head. So, with all the time in the world, what are you going to do with it?
The balcony is still open. Are you helping me or teasing me?
I'm showing you there's more than your personal desires. When it becomes important, desires have merit. But that individuality, your individual needs, wants, they play out in a larger context. And I think it's time that you understand that context.
So you're my teacher, is that it? A philosopher?
No. I am your judge.
Upon what merits do you intend to judge me? A love for my sister? Or do I win accolades with you to abandon her to her fate.
I'm not asking you to abandon her. I'm just telling you that you step into that room, you won't come out.
Why don't you help me?
It's not my job. My job is to judge you. So, Steam, as you so affectionately call yourself, are you really a god? And that's where we're going to cut to OC. OC, describe us to the situation that you're walking into at the Dimmer Sisters.
OC is walking up. She's taken her jacket off. She's still dressed nicely.
Okay.
Probably the nicest she's dressed in a while. And she has her swords at her hips. And does not knock. And just walks in to the house.
As to be expected, because that's OC, right? I mean, that she has that relationship with the Dimmer Sisters.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. When you walk in, it's the normal affair. House is being run, business as usual. Rosalind's door is closed to the left. You hear screams coming from the upper right-hand side of the entryway atop the stairs. There appears to be a light shining from the the left-hand side up the stairs. Whereas there's the scream on the right, there's the light coming from the left. This is not unusual, but it is new in recent times that you've been here.
Mm-hmm. She's going to walk directly to the room on the left and try to open the door. Past whoever is meeting her there.
Door opens for you immediately as you can see that there is another one of the Dimmer Sisters' contacts currently having a conversation with Rosalind. And Rosalind says, "OC, we weren't expecting you. Please give us a second as I finish the business here."
No. And she looks to the other person and says, "Out."
The other person looks at you, knowing you by reputation, somebody that you've seen in the past, looks frightened at first that you would take the tone, and immediately gathers their things and begins to move out of the room. Rosalind looks at you and says, "Well, that's rude. Why can't you wait just a second?"
Where is Nye? I sent you a letter. It's been 24 hours. Where is she?
That's still in progress. You asked us for help. We're taking our time.
Yes, you are. You certainly are. I delivered on my end. Where is she?
We're doing our best.
She's going to draw her sword.
You know she's lying.
Yeah, I know you're lying. I know she's here. Or she's with your friends. Where is she? She's bluffing. She just knows she's somewhere and that they know, obviously.
Well, you do know that she's lying, so you know that they have some awareness that she's here based on how Rosalind is lying to you, right?
Yep.
They know they're not letting on everything. And so Rosalind looks at you and says, "OC, you are walking down a path that we will not be able to recover from."
She's going to grab a chair and sit a foot pretty close away from her. How long have you known me?
Since you were a child, my dear.
And have I ever betrayed you?
Betrayed? No.
Intentionally.
There's been no reason for you to betray us.
Have I ever lied to you?
Not that I'm personally aware of, no.
And you repay me with a lie. You know I know you're lying. You know. It was one of my I have some new skills now, but one of my very first skills was knowing when there was a liar in the room. Nye is mine.
There are circumstances that you do not understand, and you are putting us in a position where we will not be able to recover this relationship. This is a business relationship first and foremost.
This is a business relationship now.
We helped you when you were a child. You refused our advances, so we supported you in your other endeavors, and it became a business relationship. You did things for us, we did things for you.
Why do you want Nye? Tell me the truth.
It is not my place to tell you.
She puts the
And
blade
with
at her
that-
throat.
And with that, she is telling the truth.
Yeah, I'm gonna put the blade to her throat. Why are you keeping her from me?
That is not my place to tell you. If you will allow me to ring for my assistant,
No.
I will have somebody come and tell you what you seek.
No. You will tell me right now, or I will slit every throat in this house while you watch on your knees.
She sighs, realizing that at one hand, you are completely serious, but at another hand, there is a softness to the sigh as she remembers you from a child, and almost with a maternal look, there is a touch of sadness in her sigh. I am promising you that I will get the right person to tell you, but I personally am bound not to doing that. And she reveals on her wrist an arcane symbol that looks to you
Ghost
like a
contract?
ghost contract.
I don't care for your life anymore. You will tell me. If you will not, I will kill everyone in this house until someone tells me. All I want is Nye, and you may have your life. As sad and pathetic as it is to lie.
I am telling you,
She's
The
gonna
truth.
drag her by the hair out the door. Call for your friend. Now.
drag her out which door? 'Cause
The,
there are
out the
two
door
doors.
into the hall. I'm waiting
Oh.
for her to verbally call someone. She doesn't need a bell.
Okay, so she does yell for somebody, but when she yells, it is not exaggerated. It's not a scream. She just makes the call. You hear a door open and close on the other side of her study, her lounge, where she accepts business, and the young woman comes out and stands in the doorway. And you see, yes, mistress.
Good. We can have a conversation now. Follow me as she drags her by the hair on the ground back through the room she came in and sits down with her at the floor with her hand in her hair.
The girl is scared, looking from Rosalind to you, to Rosalind to you, and she does not know what she's supposed to do here. So she is a little bit frightened. Rosalind tries to calm the child, but every time the soothing word comes up, the child looks even more and more frightened. The girl is about 15 years old.
I have no intention of hurting you, child. You have not lied to me today, so you're on my good side. Why is Nye being kept from me?
I don't have that answer. And she tells the truth.
And so she'll look down back at her dog on the
Rosalind.
floor.
Mm-hmm.
Explain.
Explain what? Why the child doesn't know the answer to this? Or why the child is so scared? You've stepped over a bound here, OC.
As have you. We had an agreement, and you lied to me. You have her. I asked you for one thing. I even gave you information for free, rather than going and getting it myself and murdering them. I think I've been very patient.
She looks to the child and she says, "You may leave." And the child begins to move back towards the door on the far side of the room. And at that point, Rosalind looks up at you and says, "You can do one of two things here. You can let me go, and I will fetch the sister who will tell you the story. or you can hold me here and murder me.
Who was that?
And deal with the consequence. That was my assistant. But you would not let me engage her in a way that allowed me to do what I asked to do. I asked to ring. I wasn't going to threaten. But
She's going to drag her back through back to get her assistant again into the hallway. This is the last time we'll be coming out here.
So the young woman walked into the hallway at the back of her office, which leads into an incredibly long, dark, spooky hallway, flanked by doors, and the young woman is walking towards the back and enters a door on the left-hand side.
I'm going to wait here. She's going to call her for me.
When she opens her mouth to call, the sound that comes out is very different. It is deeper. It is more guttural. It is a language that nobody has ever spoken to you before. And when the girl comes back, she's even more confused. What are you doing here?
Please be a dear and fetch someone for me. What was her name? And she'll look down.
Rosalind looks up and says something in this guttural sort of tone. And the girl looks with acknowledgement and begins to head back and disappears on a door on the right-hand side. Not a moment later, at her arm is an incredibly old woman, slowly making her way towards you. And the woman uses a voice that is very much maternal, motherly, and tender. And she says, "Please, let us go back into the other room."
Okay. And she's going to drag her back in. Following the woman, though. She'll point and follow her.
The woman moves incredibly slow, so it is about a minute after she walks through that she finally gets seated and settled correctly, and you're able to kind of make your way around. The old woman looks at the young girl and says, "You may leave us." And the young girl walks away and back into that hallway and closes the door. The old woman perches herself in Rosalind's chair, has a cane in front of her, and leans on it as she leans forward and says, "What can I do for you?"
Ma'am, why has Nye been denied to be in my care? What are you keeping from me, and why is she important here?
Because she is not yours to care for or keep.
Why is she being kept from me?
Because she is important.
Why?
Because she is important to you.
And with that, she shakes her head, and is she lying?
No.
Why would you keep her? Because she's important to me, as a bargaining chip?
To keep control of you, dear.
Why am I important?
We tried to explain this to you when you were a child.
Please explain it to me now that I am an adult and may better understand.
She slowly raises her hand. She says, "It would be better if I show you." She just slowly raises her hand towards you and says, "Let me show you."
In the same way that Caius did to me.
In the same way that Caius did what to you?
Someone did that to me, and I had a vision. I don't remember who that was.
Right, but
so in the same, I would recognize that that's what she's doing based on my previous experience. Okay.
Right, she's trying to show you, but you have to touch. You know that if from that experience, then that she's looking for you to touch her.
Okay.
When you do grasp her hand, immediately your whole entire experience changes, right? And it's this sort of weird, sort of shadowy, kind of cloudy kind of a thing at first. And then we get a vision of the barge. And you are training with steam. But when you're training with Steam, there is this sort of weird glow about the both of you. It is everything that Steam sees in respect to the demon blood awakening, what he feels is the godlike ability and the power. And it is just this chaotic sort of mesh of energy that is like circling back and forth between the two of you. But in him, it turns a very particular shade that is different than the shade that you are turning. Whereas he is getting more and more, I would say, bluish purple, you are turning more red. And with that, you get a sense, because you're looking at it through her eyes, through this vision, you're getting a sense of fear. There is a flash of a different scene, of you standing over a series of bodies laid in
Enjoy your stay.
Chest and torso and back aflame. And your eyes are incredibly dark. Your pupils, your irises have been lost in a sea of darkness. Not quite black, but darkness. And as you look back towards the woman, the person, the vision that you're looking at, that's looking out towards you, and you look back, there is complete terror. As you kind of recognize the environment that you're in, that it is the house of the Demmer sisters. And the vision begins to kind of fade away. And she looks at you as you're kind of taking this all in, and she says, "We may be the cause of our own destruction, but we had to try. You must understand."
My next question, where is Nye?
Safe from you.
Where is Nye? I don't want that to happen. If you want to prevent this, then give me her. Now.
The cards are already on the table. She is not yours to have. And at that moment, the young woman walks in, and you see that there is fear in her eyes as she holds a bottle that glows.
Would I recognize it?
Not by sight, but you would see that there, from the reaction of Rosalind on the ground, she is starting to look at that and shake her head no.
I'm going to look down at Rosalind. Is that Nye?
Damn girl.
Is that Nye?
No, it's not.
She's lying, right?
Yep.
I slit her throat.
Blood begins to spill from her across her chest.
As I do. What does Nye have to do with chaos? I saw a vision of sorts. And she's acting like it's completely, just keep continuing going with the conversation. As I saw it, she was with Caius, and there were holes, and she was back in another place, and it was a very long time ago. Why was she working with Caius?
If I tell you that, you will kill us.
No, I killed her because she lied to me again. I'm very good with that. Since a child.
Caius needs vessels. We were trying to rectify the wrongs. Nye was brought to us very early on. We were once his partners.
Go on.
With great hesitation, she says, "The bottle you see before you that this young woman was not supposed to bring is our folly and downfall. It is the vessel that we placed her in when we took her life."
I see. One last question, and I will leave. What is Chaos? And how do I kill him? Should the need arise.
Chaos is something truly unholy. Not one or the other, but a hybrid of beings.
At this point, by the way, the chair's on fire that she's sitting in. Just a little side note.
And she says, "You cannot kill him. Not because it's not possible." And you can see that she's saying this with much hesitation. But that his death brings darker purpose to the world.
She's going to stand up, casually thank her, while she's holding a piece. She pulled off a piece of Rosalind's clothes and grabs the vial. Thanks the young woman. Should we have any more issues, I will be back. I will burn the house, I will murder all of these girls, and I will take anything that I wish. Because I wish it.
So as you turn to leave, lightning fast, for the first time you've ever seen, the woman reaches up and grabs your wrist. And there is a strength and a power there.
I'm going to drive my sword into her. And I'm going to use my crit right through the throat from up under my belt that I was still holding.
Okay.
You got to put your hand on me once. Will not happen again. As she pulls the sword back and leaves. With Nye.
Bottle in hand, you step out of the building. The young girl steps up behind you. Fear in her eyes. Looking to try to escape, but not sure if she can get by you.
She'll turn around to her and look. If you were to be one of the new leaders here, do not make their mistake. Understand that some people will understand what's going on here. I'm not a fool. I knew what was happening.
As you say this, the flames are beginning to catch in the lounge.
That's her intention.
As the fire begins to spread.
You may want to put that out.
Do you let her pass?
Yep.
She runs away. The house continues to catch flame. Screams begin to evoke from all around the building as nobody stops the flames. As the entire mansion is set on fire. And as you watch, nobody comes because nobody wants to risk coming inside of the grounds of the Dimmer Sisters. There's a small crowd. This is 6 Towers. But nobody comes inside as they see one lone woman holding a bottle watching the building burn as it burns to the ground. And that's where we're going to end it.
They're all dying right in there. She has no more hair.
I said everything that burns to the ground. I didn't say that they're dead. I said that the building burns to the ground.
Don't fucking touch me, bitches.
And like I said, that's where we're going to end it.
I fucking told you. I fucking told you she was a god.
Oopsie.
Mike, I got nothing, man. It's all you.
I have one more thing that has to happen before tomorrow's episode, but I don't want to do it now.
You totally want to do it now.
Fuck me.
Epilogue.
Yeah,
Epilogue, season 2.
Jesus Christ. The epilogue of season 2 is still Bowerstone and Nyx in the sewer. Oh no.
Is this the new buddy cop movie kind of thing?
It's not.
Nyx in the bottom?
Does that make Steam and I bad cop, bad cop?
You're just a psycho. You are a psycho.
So,
Guys, I got an eye!
so Reymond, you see Nyx's face contort into something you've never seen before. If you were a betting man, you'd say it was fear. He reaches into his jacket, and you see him pull out, for the second time I think you've ever seen it, his Spirit Bane mask, and slides it onto his face. And he turns away from you and squats down, slipping into the ghost field, Johnny. So Bowerstone, you see him look around, and he says, no. Yes, Tittle, Jot, I need a favor. Take my sister, find Hocus. Tell him that I can hear the bell tower. The tear is getting worse. And he takes the mask off, and you see that his eyes are like bloodshot.
Perfect epilogue.
That's the end.
Perfect
Seems
epilogue.
I'm not the only clown in a mask.
Oh,
Ooh,
man.
Fuck. Yeah, I got nothing, guys.
So, Slade, what happens to you when your character kills people? Oh, wait.
They disappear.
They vanish.
No, that's not true. No, that's not true. You killed somebody this time.
Yeah, he threw the guy off the
You
roof.
did
and
kill
threw her.
somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that was part of the...
Guys, I need a nap and a hug, like a heavy blanket, a shot.
Take a shot
I mean,
and go to sleep.
it sounds really kind of bad when it's like, oh yeah, you killed a guy, and you burned down a house, and you murdered people, and you tackled a goat.
Oh, so, guys, that was the season 2 finale of 6 and 20, The Shroud. We will be back next week for a conversation. Myself will be here, Johnny will be here, Speedy will be over here, and various members of cast, whoever can make it in some manner, will be here to discuss the goings-on of season 2 and our thoughts for season 3. So that's going to be an awesome show next week, so definitely tune into that. The week of Thanksgiving, we'll be taking a break from 6 and 20, but we'll be back after that week for the beginning of season 3, which promises to be some crazy shit.
I believe that's November 29th.
November 29th is that date. So let's hear from the cast about their thoughts and feelings on the finale of season 2. Lord Alderman Reymond Bowerstone. Who are you? What are you doing here? And what did you think of the season finale?
Hey, I'm Slade. I'm a game master and streamer over on Crit Dice Gaming, and so many things that you could talk about tonight. The greatest thing, I think, was every single character tonight, the way that it ended, with so many cliffhangers, with so many important moments. It's really taken us from the small group that met at Eden to now, the lords that we are. And just, I'm nervous for next season because the threats are going to be bigger. I'm looking forward to it though, so it's been a great time.
I just want to say, guys, never forget that speech that Reymond wrote himself.
Shh.
We let him write one speech.
And he got booed.
And then he gets assassinated. What the fuck? We'll jump over to the most erratic person this time, Grimjack. Steam, who are you? What are you doing here? And what did you think of the season finale?
I had a blast. I thought this was fantastic. I think that, like Slade said, everybody had a chance to kind of really do something with the character and end it with the potential to do so much more. I'm still completely fucking blown away by that ending. It's ridiculous, man. That was really ridiculous. Grimjack21502 on Twitch and Twitter. I'm here. I'm starting a show on my own channel on Sunday at 7 o'clock. Pulp Cthulhu. Check that out. Let OC talk.
The craziest part is we discussed, her and I, that ending, and I didn't know any of that was coming. Like, I knew, like, this is the goal, and I was like, oh no, I'm panicking. So driving the fear in the heart of men, Mr. Ninja,
Women.
Who are you? Well, the rest of your crew as well. Who are you? What are you doing here? And what did you think of the season finale?
I am Xwisjinjinja. I run video games, and I'm here over on my stream, and I'm here every once in a while for some Blades in the Dark and Symborum. Tonight was, it was all right. Guys, I got Nye back. She's
Only
still
took a whole
crazy
season.
in the head, but that's a next season problem. Who else can we kill?
I mean, at this point, the question isn't who. I guess it's who can't we kill. Like, I guess Caius, apparently.
Caius. She'll tell you.
That's what
Caius.
everyone says, yeah.
We've got Crow's Foot. Let's pick a different district and go for that next.
She's just hugging the bottle, walking out, like the vial, just like rubbing it all over her face while walking out of this fire.
Guys, I'm sweaty and have concerns for season 3. So we'll go over to the man behind that. Johnny, who are you? What are you doing here? Why have you done this? And what did you think of the season finale?
I don't have an answer for any of that. I'm burnt. I'm done. And I have one more than of this. So I'm Johnny. I'm the GM for 6 and 20. This thing happens across 3 channels, and each of these nights is always interesting because you all just pull shit out of your ass that just blows me away every single fucking time. So, what did I think about tonight? I knew a fair bit about what I wanted to do with tonight. I didn't know how it was going to play out. I didn't expect the extremeness of OC's wrath. I knew it was coming, but I also didn't expect it to be in the way that she did it. That was pretty awesome. So, yeah, it was a good, fun time tonight.
Yeah, I didn't expect to see steam fly off the handle. I didn't expect to see Bowerstone do something. I didn't expect to see OC burn down an entire house.
It was an accident.
And I for sure didn't expect to wrestle a goat. Today took a turn, guys. The bell thing got me. That one got me. I was like, if you hadn't ended the scene, I would have just stood there like a fish. My mouth flapping in the wind. I was like, oh no, there's only one bell in town. There's only one bell, and it's super bad. It's a super bad times bell. Oh, man. Guys, we'll be back tomorrow for... Oh, God. Havoc in the Hinterlands, where they're summoning a demon, I think. So that'll be fun. We'll be back on Saturday. We're doing a 12-hour community multiplayer game stream. So that's going to be rad, so definitely check that out. And then Sunday we'll be back, and Mr. Ginger will be back as well on Sunday for Symborum, the new Swedish dark fantasy game that we just wrapped up a giveaway for and have 3 winners to announce right this second. Oh man, that's a long. So that guy's name is just letters and numbers. One's is Marissa Volkening, which is something sort of German. There's a lot of vowels in there and consonants. And then Giovanni Campapiano. I got that one. The one Italian guy nailed that one. So if you are here in chat, awesome. If not, I will reach out to you via email and or Twitter to get you your prizes for your Symbaroum starter bundle, so you can begin playing that game. Also, definitely check out the final season finale tomorrow for 6 and 20, The Phantoms. And with that, we're going to go raid our friends over at Dungeons and Distractions. They are currently playing some D and or D. So give them all of your hot, sticky raid love. And from all of us to you guys, man, bye-bye.